What's good? What's good? What's good? Hope everybody's well. Man, this shit is the worst internet in the world. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Let me say what's up to everybody. Control LeGrew in the building. What's going on, sir? Ray Patterson, what's happening? Chillville, what's up, man? And the still undefeated Omaha, Nebraska Terence Bud Crawford. Yes, sir. What up, Chillville? Denali Smith in the building. What's good, man? Nuke the Duke. Free me in the building. What's happening? Ray Patterson, Tender God. Barbara D. So looks like we should have a fight with Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, man. What you guys think of the fight? And also, whole lot of people making a lot of noise because Jaron Ennis sparred Terence Crawford. Do you know what that tells me about the sport of boxing right now? That we are really in a bad shape. If we give a fat rat about Jaron Ennis sparring Terence Crawford. Jaron Ennis does not owe Terence Crawford anything. Doesn't owe him anything. Nothing. That man can go spar with Canelo Alvarez, prepare anybody he feels like preparing him for. And I think it's really good for Jaron Ennis that he got that sparring. What's going on, Javon Freeman? How you feeling this morning? Blaze Boxing, what's good with you, sir? Hope you well. Man, please wipe your feet on the like button on the way in. Thank you very much. If you can't support the channel, you can support it by you can support it in the Cash App, the Super Chat, or hitting that like button. So please do. Control Negru said Negroes are mad at everything. Yeah, man, and it's but I'm not. I am not mad at all, Control Negru. I am 100% okay. I am not tripping on any of this nonsense about Gervonta Davis. Look, what is this? To be honest, I think Crawford is ducking Ennis. Well, look, the fact of the matter is that Terence Crawford should be fighting Jaron Ennis. He shouldn't be fighting Canelo, and Canelo should be fighting David Benavidez. But we don't live it, but we're never going to get that, man. He said the Bud Justice League is apocalyptic, fake outrage. Look, man, Jaron Ennis does not owe Terence Crawford anything. If Terence Crawford doesn't owe Jaron Ennis a fight, then Jaron Ennis doesn't owe it to Terence Crawford not to fight, not to prepare somebody to fight him. That's ridiculous. It's just flat out ridiculous. Terence Crawford has never done a thing for Jaron Ennis's career. The only thing he's done related to Jaron Ennis's career is make him wait forever and a day to get a shot at a championship. And then when Jaron is in, when Terence is in the weight division with him, they frame him for a duck. Why in the world would he wouldn't do that? I think that's the best thing he could do. You can even ask Shakur if Crawford's ducking Ennis. I mean, Terence Crawford does not want to fight Jaron Ennis. That is very obvious. Javon said it's a great move for Boots to spar and be in the camp with Canelo. The knowledge and experience he can get from Canelo is incredible. Yeah, but also it's definitely going to be tough depending on how much sparring he has. Dog, that is going to make it tough on Terence Crawford. Because Jaron Ennis has everything that Canelo Alvarez has. I mean, Jaron Ennis has everything Terence Crawford has. He's big, but he's bigger and he's faster. He's not as experienced, but still, I'm telling you, man, but the idea that somebody owes Terence Crawford something, for what? Man, Shakur Hand's supposed to be hurt, but he's sparring Crawford. Yeah, but yeah, he ain't really sparring Crawford. That's a terrible spar. I have no idea why Terence Crawford was sparred with Shakur Stevenson. I can see working out with Shakur Stevenson, but I can't see sparring Shakur Stevenson to actually prepare you for Canelo. Somebody that knows a little bit more about the subject may be able to help me out, but I don't really see it. You know what I mean? I don't really see it at all. But thank you so much, Kamal Oz. I will talk about a super chat till we get the next one. So the Bud Justice League is apocalyptic, face outrage. Well, we got to have something to say. Every morning we wake up and we say, how can we keep this ball moving in the boxing world? So We get up every morning. We say, what are the things that we're, oh, actually, I get up in the morning and do this. I think some people do it throughout the course of the day, just trying to think about what type of boxing conversations are going to keep people interested. And one of the things that keep people interested is outrage, it's anger, it's having somebody doing something unjust to somebody. But really, what you're doing is you're tearing down another black fighter. Jaron Ennis doesn't have the right to spar Canelo Alvarez because he owes something to Terence Crawford. I already know who's going to say this garbage and who would say that garbage, but, you know, it is what it is. What's going on, Gabe Toss? How you feeling this morning, man? Hope you're well. Anybody want to get up and talk? I'm going to put a link in here early. Put the link in here early in case anybody wants to chop it up. And I do mean this video. I'll talk to anybody today. I will talk to anybody today. Oh, hold on. There you go. Why would Bud get you called for sparring, especially for a fight with Canelo? It truly doesn't make sense at all. I think it's just for the pictures. I think they're working out together. It's probably just for the workout. Mosley helped Oscar versus Floyd. It's just boxing. Boots owes no one any explanation, not a lick. I'm just finding it interesting that anybody would have the gumption to say that he does owe anybody anything. I've always considered myself to be like a really, you know, I'm a black person, so I'm very pro black people, and because being pro black means being pro myself, so kind of can't help it, right? However, there is a group of people out there that consistently take advantage of the idea that black people need to stick together. But the only time that they really talk about black people sticking together is when it's something that they need our support with. So support me, we all need to stick together. But when it's time for them to support Gervonta Davis, they don't have any time to support Gervonta Davis. They don't have any time to support Al Heyman. It's support the black people that we want to, and we're going to use that guilt trip on you whenever we can muster it. What's going on, Kamal? How you feeling, man?
Hey, what's up, Fanon? Quick question. Before I begin, can you play that Jake Paul video I sent you? It's a short Instagram reel. I think it's like a minute, 2 minutes long. I sent you over the weekend. It's going to broach our subject of conversation today. I sent it to you over the weekend. It's Jake Paul. I think it's the title of the email is Jake Paul Stradamus or something to that effect. And I want to get you to play that and get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I have to go look that up. Can you tell me what he said?
Yeah. No,
before we lot of emails, man. It's a lot.
I do. I did send you a lot of emails. So
no, I mean, I get a lot of emails. Period. Like I just get a lot of emails.
While you're looking for that, I'll send it again. But if you saw Tim Bradley had a great video on this topic. Of course, you know Tim Bradley, company man without a network. Bradley was hating on Gervonta Dang Davis, but then in the same video that I sent you, Fadon, he said, "I'll be watching the fight." So Tim Bradley was up there saying that, you know, cash grab, whatever, what have you. But at the end of the day, he said, "Yeah, I'll be watching it. I'm interested. I'm talking about it." So Tim Bradley at least is honest. All these fake content creators, they're just liars and stuff like that. You know, you'll be watching the fight. You know, you're promoting the fight. You're making videos on the fight on Jake and Take. This fight has taken boxing by storm. And so I would like to get your thoughts on that, Fanon. I don't know if you saw that Tim Bradley video I sent you, or he was going through
Bradley. I think I may have seen the video before it when you were talking about he's fighting Jake Paul for real or something like that. Think that was you're talking about the Tim Bradley one?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I did see that. I don't see it in the email, but I did see it.
Yeah, what's one of the emails I sent probably 2 weeks ago or so. No, as soon as the fight was announced, I sent it. So you're still going to be at the bottom of your email list. I'll resend you this Jake Paul video because I think it's great on so many levels. It's probably at the bottom of your email compunction. I want to get your thoughts. Yoenis Tellez lost to some guy named Abbas Abaru from
German. Lost to African German.
African German. What were your thoughts on that? I don't know what was going on with that.
I'm trying to tell you, they be throwing everybody. They threw that boy in there with the wolves, man. He's like a slick fighter. He's a slick fighter, and that dude, It's kind of like I think kind of like Robeisy Ramirez when Robeisy Ramirez lost to that dude. It just kind of hit me sideways. But I mean, Tellez is still a good fighter. I thought it was a close fight. He just kind of ran out of gas. That guy just kept thumping on him, you know? So that was one of the guys, and that's one of the PBC fighters that were supposed to be in that tournament, like who's going to be the top at 154. Well, he definitely got set back a step. He's a talented fighter though, but man, that German came with it.
And I just resent that Jake Paul video, Fernando. It should be at the top of your email link, both emails. Yeah, so I don't know if Tellez goes into a rematch with that Abbas guy, or if that's an opponent that maybe Jermell Charlo comes back to, because Tellez had a secondary WBA strap. So I don't know. WBA is not going to strip her off
for the
apparently.
interim. It's for the interim, right? The interim WBA, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't the full title. I think it was either the interim or a world or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was scheduled to get promoted by the WBA to the full champion like Rolly Romero did, or if they would reinstate Jermell Charlo because he was champion in recess. I don't know what they're going to do with that, because Crawford apparently can hold that belt hostage and not fight at the division for over a year. So those people what are these fake, Al Sharpton, these fake wannabe Medgar Evers channels, just as you nailed it, Fanon. Where's their outrage at Crawford holding up 154, holding that belt hostage, never intending to fight at the division again, should be stripped of that belt? Where's the outrage of that? And then after Gervonta doesn't fight Lamont Roach for after 4 months, they want to strip Tank Davis. Where's that outrage, Fanon?
Oh, they don't. I don't think they're going to strip. Who wanted to strip Gervonta Davis?
No, I'm just saying that there was talk that he should be by this Bud Justice League. These same people, Fanon, they act like this guy's Medgar Evers. They act like this guy is Booker T. Washington, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, Frederick Douglass, but they forget all the games that and all the bullshit that they put Errol Spence through, the lies that he told. And now they're acting like. And by the way, I'm gonna reveal this exclusively on your show, Fanon. Boots Ennis' brother has fought Canelo, has sparred Canelo. The Ennis' family has had a long history of sparring and helping Canelo out, and he's helped them out. Canelo's actually traveled to Philadelphia to work with the Ennis family. So it's not like Boots is helping them exclusively just because it's a one-time thing for the Crawford fight. It is something that has been a long-established relationship with the Ennis camp and Canelo Alvarez. Canelo has flown to Philly, worked in that worked in the Bozy Ennis gym, and the same thing. Boots' bigger brother, older brother, has sparred Canelo in the past, so this is not a one-time thing. But again, where is this? They act like Crawford is somebody who has always looked out for the brother. He's this Medgar Evers. He's this W.E.B. Du Bois type. Where he was the guy who trashed Errol Spence, who lied, who constantly gaslit him and Bernie the boxer. All these cap artists talked about Al Heyman, talked about Gary Russell Jr., talking about strangling Gary Russell and shooting Gary Russell in the street. Where was this outrage when Crawford was talking about other black people, and he was actually talked about Boots, and he ducked Boots, and he gave up his title rather than fight Boots and went up to 154. Boots doesn't owe Crawford shit. And Crawford is not the hill to die on. If there are a lot of hills to die on, Fanon, that are justifiable, but Crawford and how he managed his career, have y'all forget what he did with Errol Spence? That's not the appropriate hill to die on.
Oh, hell no, it's not. And those guys do that shit all the time, man. It's like you have to grow up past that, though. Like, it takes years and years to really get past that con move. The one where they guilt trip you about supporting black people because you're black. That guilt trip move, that is a very, very tough one to overcome, because you do feel a sense that we do need to stick together and we need to support each other, because that's true. We really do. So how do you differentiate the things that you really need to support from the things that are just people trying to get over on you? And those dudes are just get over artists. And they know that that is just one trick in their bag that they can use to try to make you do what they want you to do. That's kind of like when Frequent Flyer comes on the channel and talks, right? I know exactly what Frequent Flyer is going to do. He's going to try to obfuscate. He's going to try to confuse. He's just trying to ask as many questions and and take the opposite point just to add as much confusion as he can possibly add. And he wants to stretch it out for long periods of time. And he always wants to wait until the show is almost over before he comes on and tries to extend it by another 20 minutes. That's just the same technique he always uses. The guys that you're talking about are the fakest motherfuckers I've ever seen in my life when it comes to talking about the betterment of black people. Because if you really study the issue and you study it over years, you'll understand, bro, that the only thing we owe other black people is not to mistreat them. That's it. You don't owe black people your business. You don't owe it to them to watch their show. You don't owe it to boycott. You owe it to black people not to mistreat another black person. And if we don't mistreat each other, then we're all going to be able to reach our goals without being interfered with. That's the problem that these guys have. Gervonta Davis, and I hate to admit it about these guys, they're like a weight around the neck of black fighters. Anytime a black fighter gets too high, they go after them. They put weights around their neck and they drag them down. But they work for white people. At the end of the day, I guarantee you, all of these YouTube channels that do all that shit, at the end of the day, they work for a white person.
But no, you went on mute right after you said at the end of the day they work for white people.
At the end of the day, yeah, thank you. At the end of the day, these guys work for white people. That's where the money's coming from. If you want to know where the money is, follow the fat white man. That's where the fucking money's coming from all the time. I don't give my attacks have been funded by Turkey al-Sheikh. They have been funded by Victor Conti. That's where the money came from for these guys to attack me and send me stupid notes. It's not very hard to break down. These guys are here to control black people. They are there to put a narrative out in the black community and to control the conversation. You can hear these people say it. They will say it on occasion. We have to control the narrative. They're there to control the narrative. What is the narrative? Gervonta is bad. PBC is bad. So everything they do is going to point towards causing trouble for the PBC, causing trouble for Al Heyman, and it doesn't matter what the issue is. Because again, follow the money. The money goes to the fat white boy every single fucking time, okay? Those are the people that are trying to get Black America to support the people that they want us to support. And when we start gathering together, start talking together, start trying to get our fighters up and pay attention to our fighters, what do? They come into the live stream with a bunch of bots. They come into the live stream with a bunch of fake friends, a bunch of fake YouTube channels, and they try to do what? They try to control the narrative. That's why whenever they talk to me, they was like, you're spinning. No, that is PR language. When you hear somebody say control the narrative, you're talking about somebody that is a PR narrative. And that's what it is. It's that simple. They don't care about black people. They care about getting black people to do what they want you to do. Al Sharpton is there just to be the spokesperson that can be black, saying the things out of a black mouth they want said out of a black mouth. And that is what these guys have been doing. And that's what they're going to continue to do. That's my reaction to it. They're the same. They're poverty pimps. Back in the 90s, we called them poverty pimps. That's what they are. They go around poor people and they collect and they try to motivate poor people so that they can have a quorum of poor people. And then they can then march the poor people behind them. They stand in front with the priests and the businessmen. The priests and the businessmen and the people stand in front get all the money. And the people all in the back are just fodder for the war. That's what it's always been. And I don't think it's going to change. And it's not changing depending on where you are or what particular area of human activity you're acting in, that you participate in. It's complete. In entertainment, they gaslight you in entertainment. They're gaslighting us on this boxing stuff. Jaron Ennis, the fact is, Jaron Ennis is one of the best fighters in the world. And Terence Crawford had an opportunity to fight Jaron Ennis. Terence Crawford don't want to fight Jaron Ennis. So Jaron Ennis doesn't owe Terence Crawford a fucking thing. Not a thing.
Exactly.
That's my take.
Exactly. You nailed it. And it's one-sided, this black narrative, like you said, these are race hustlers, these are race pimps, these are your Jesse Jackson, Al Sharptons they are the permanently aggrieved bud buddies the permanently disenfranchised. They are rebels without a cause, looking for their next click, looking for their next view, looking for their wherever they're getting their money from. Because if you want to die on a hill for Terence Crawford, you guys are out of your freaking minds. He's done enough. Y'all don't remember what he did to Errol Spence, apparently. All the lies he said, all the gaslighting he said when it came to Al Heyman and the PBC, they needed to open their books. When it came to Turkey Al Sheikh and when it was Top Rank, they didn't need to do it. Okay, at the head of the PBC? But the
The
black
black
man
dude.
needs to open up he needs to open up his books. But Top Rank and Turkey Al Sheikh don't, right? Crawford has to get to agree to fight with Errol Spence. He has to do a bullshit thing like coin flips, like we're in the NFL or something. When he's clearly the B side to Errol, and Errol said, "Fine, I'll even give you that. I'm giving you tens of millions of dollars more than you deserve." In my career, because I've eclipsed you, I went from the boogeyman to the money man in the division, and you're saying that you're the A side to me. You're just a delusional fool, is what you are. And these people apparently forgot it. They just need their newest clicks. They need their newest views. Boots doesn't. There's a lot of things to criticize Boots on now in terms of Eddie Hearn running his career and the missed opportunities and the lack of the public relations aspect that Eddie Hearn is not doing on his behalf, in my opinion. And these narratives that are getting out of control. That is legitimate criticism, and I think you and I, and then another channel, Ego, has kind of gone on that. But this topic of him getting work with Canelo, nope, you would be a fool to turn that down. And again, that family, the Ennis family, has a long-standing relationship with Canelo. They have worked with Canelo before. Canelo has flown to Philly to work with Canelo, with Ennis. That's how much he respects Bozy and his sons. So, I mean, spare me the drama. Anyway, if you could play that Jake Paul video I sent you, it's just a short Instagram reel. I would love to get your to talk about that as we
Yeah, so
open
you're
the
talking
show.
about is this? Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's the one with the. Okay, I'll play it in a second. Give me
Jake
a
Paul.
second.
It says Jake Paul video. I think it's like a 2-minute video. It
Yeah, I
is
got it.
just
It's
okay.
up right here.
Okay, if you go ahead, play it.
Yeah, I got it.
Announcing Tuesday, February 11th. Jim gets. Oh, Canelo, you puta.
And this fucking YouTuber. I just fight real fighters.
Time to expose them. So we had a signed contract to fight. Here you can see Canelo's signature and my signature to the right. Claiming he's not fighting YouTubers. Bullshit. Look at the poster. We are announcing Tuesday, February 11th. Claiming he fights real fighters, but he's fighting Crawford.
Yeah, sorry.
Poster. We are announcing Tuesday, February 11th. Claiming he fights real fighters, but he's fighting Crawford, a 135-pound fighter, and running from a real fighter like David Benavidez, you bitch. The truth is you can be bought. You're a money-hungry squirrel chasing your next nut. The truth is these sports-washing shady characters are paying you hundreds of millions of dollars to stop our fight from happening because they couldn't fathom the fact that they can't create a bigger fight than me and you. Al Heyman has made you hundreds of millions of dollars, and you turned your back on him for this check, disloyal, and you were begging to do this fight on pay-per-view. But I have loyalty to Netflix, doing the biggest numbers. And you call me a YouTuber, but you've never had a boxing match as big as mine. Remember you told my team that your daughter came home and asked if you were fighting Jake Paul? She was all excited. You said that was the first time your daughter's ever asked you about a fight. And you're screwing over all your Mexican fans by doing your fights in Saudi. It just shows what type of person you are. And I promise you one thing, Canelo. Any fight that you do this year, mine will be bigger. So go fuck off to your boss, you Ring Magazine employee, you pink and orange bitch. And oh, fix that herpy on your lip, you dirty puta. Oh, Canelo, you puta.
And this fucking YouTuber. I just fight real fighters.
Time to expose it. So we had a signed contract.
That's
Jake,
fucked up.
that was in February, Fanon, when Turkey Al Sheikh went in there with that offer, overpaying Canelo for a series of 4 fights, lying to the public, because Turkey, if you can recall, said, I want to make the Crawford fight, but after that, I'm going to try to make the Benavidez fight. That's what Turkey said. I'm going to do my due diligence. At the time, that's what he said. To make the Benavidez fight after Crawford. I want to give Crawford a big fight. He deserves it, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We later found out shortly thereafter that he was talking about Hamza Shiraz, his guy, the Eubank Conor Benn winner, the now the rematch, the winner of that fight. And then after his 4-fight deal, he's going to try to make the Benavidez fight. So the guy's a liar. Jake Paul fucking G-checked Eddie Hearn, Turkey Al-Sheikh and Canelo Alvarez. Because let me ask you something, Fanon, and I want to ask you two things. Number one, can we, as the black race, honorary adopt Jake Paul? Can we?
No.
Honorary. I
No.
said honorary.
Hell no, man. I don't
For-
never give out no honorary black cards, dog.
honorary.
You don't know what that
For
nigga. You
what
don't
he's
know
doing.
what the fuck Jake Paul gonna do next year. We don't know what Jake gonna do next year.
For what he's doing for women's boxing, especially black women's boxing.
No, seriously, Jake ain't no joke. Jake going into that boxing Hall of Fame, though. That's
He
fucking
is.
crazy. His
He
ass
is.
is gonna get into the Hall of Fame, though. That's fucking bananas. But I do want to talk about what he said, though. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
That's like the fact that Canelo Alvarez would have done it, and he said that. I'm loving that you gave me that because now I got a succinct explanation, bro. Jake Paul was going to fight Canelo Alvarez, but Turkey Al-Sheikh didn't want him to do, so he overpaid him a ridiculous amount of money in order to have the fight with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is going to lose. That shit is going to lose $150 million.
And let me get something before you finish, Fanon. 2 Cents and Fahim. Fahim's been going at me since Friday. I was joking. Fanon can clearly tell you that was something made in jest. Okay, I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't even talk like that. That was something made in jest. Okay.
Yeah, relax.
Calm your tits.
Fahim. Let's
Calm
have some
your
fun,
tits.
But hell
Go ahead,
no,
Fanon.
I ain't making Jake Paul no honorary. You don't know what the hell his ass gonna do next year. You don't know.
And
But
that was
I
a
will say
joke.
this,
Fanon can tell you I was joking. Fanon knows me
Fahim
for
says
years.
so was I. Fahim says so was I. He was joking. He was joking at you.
Go ahead, Fanon, because I know we can talk about that. And I want you to make a video on that because Jake, promises made, promises kept. So much for you to go in on. Go ahead. I just wanted to clarify. I was joking on that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, back to my point was, yeah, man. So basically, Turkey Al-Sheikh fucked off couple $100 million because of his fucking ego. He fucked that shit. He did this stupid shit because of his fucking ego. Because he cannot make a bigger fight than Jake Paul. How fucking bad is that? That's the truth. You guys can't make a bigger fight than fucking Jake Paul. That is how are you helping out boxing when we can't make a fight bigger than Jake Paul? All of the splitting up of the demographics, all of the bullshit that Ring Magazine, the Boxing Writers Association of America has been doing for years, it's all your fucking fault. It's all your fault because you guys won't ever get behind a boxer. You won't get behind a boxer. Every time there's a really popular American fighter, you guys trash and tear him down. So this guy passes you up from the outside lane. What do you call it in racing when everybody's fucking around, you're not paying attention to the guy in the back? So you guys are all like positioning, bumping each other, doing all kind of stupid shit. Meanwhile, this kid jumps in his car, takes the outside lane, goes right by every fucking body. Because he's operating somewhere where you guys can't tear him down. You can't tear Jake Paul down to Jake Paul fans. What you guys do to Gervonta is you tear down Gervonta to Gervonta fans and try to prevent him from getting any new ones. You can't do that to Jake Paul. So Jake Paul just outstripped you because, again, Jake Paul is white in America. So Jake Paul gets all of the things that he fucking wants if he can accomplish it. There's nothing in the way from Jake Paul accomplishing what Jake Paul wants to accomplish. That's not the case with black Americans. You know how much fucking bullshit boxers get anytime they get popular in the black community and they don't act like they want to cow-tied to Top Rank or cow-tied to the Boxing Writers Association of America? Man, I listened to what Keyshawn Davis said. Man, that shit was sad as the fuck. You saw that Keyshawn Davis interview? Come on.
Which one? The Ariel Helwani interview?
No, the one he did recently when he was sitting and he was basically saying, like, I don't know. I don't think it was Ariel Helwani. It was somebody he was talking to. And he was like sad. He was contemplating. He was what's the word? Contemplative. And he said, look, man, he's like, low key, I'm starting to understand how Gervonta feels. He's like, Gervonta Davis is the fucking man. He's been the man for a long time. He's the one making the numbers. He's the one really making all the real shit. But every time he does some
You at mute again, Fanon.
I'm sorry, I got this little button. Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is, get this shit out of my hand. Keyshawn Davis was saying basically that he now really understands where Gervonta Davis is coming from. And he said that it's like everybody knows that Gervonta is the man. He's been the man. He's been carrying the sport on his back, but everybody jumping on him and tearing him down the entire time. He's like, I understand. Now I really understand where this guy's coming from. So what stood out to me about that is that these are guys that were running around faking like they were bigger than Gervonta. Like Devin Haney faked like he was as big as Gervonta. Shakur faking like he's as big. Well, Shakur never faked like he's big as Gervonta, but Teofimo Lopez faking like he's super huge. All these guys are sitting there crab barreling, acting like they're the guys that Gervonta Davis has to fight. Meanwhile, these guys are really nowhere near the stratosphere of him. If these people would support Gervonta Davis, or better yet, just stop hating on his ass, Gervonta Davis might have been able to make a fight with Shakur that could be as big as Jake Paul, because Jake Paul's fight ain't going to be as big as Floyd and Manny Pacquiao when you really do. And nobody stood in the way of Floyd Mayweather Jr. really getting that Manny Pacquiao fight because there was so much money in it. And Bob Arum was behind it. But everything else you guys did to Floyd, you tried to tear him down every step of the way. We're never going to be able to have really good American fighters if we don't embrace black fighters. And if we continue to have guys, and I'm not going to say your name anymore, because really, bro, I don't even want to do it anymore. But you guys are the worst thing. Boxing Writers Association of America is the worst thing in boxing, in American boxing. They're the worst because half of their time they spend tearing down the opposition for the opposition, because they sit there and they, at least in my eyes, it looks like they try to barter their own influence. Like, okay, before it was Bob Arum. Bob couldn't do any wrong. All of his fighters are getting in the top 10 of the pound for pound. A Monster Inoue is the greatest fighter ever. Loma's the greatest fighter. Everybody was doing all that shit for Bob Arum. Until when? Until they switched over to Shakur, until they switched for the money over to Turki Al-Sheikh. And now Oscar De La Hoya can't control the media. Bob Arum can't control the media. The person controlling the media is Turki Al-Sheikh. And you guys look at Mike Coppinger. Mike Coppinger is probably, no joke, Mike Coppinger probably sleeps with Turki Al-Sheikh. As far up underneath his nutsack he is. So no, the problem is not these fighters. The problem is you media people. Steve Kim, I'm going to read you this note that Steve Kim sent yesterday. I was amazed that Steve Kim had the nerve to get this shit out of his mouth. Give me 1 second.
So while you're looking for, go ahead.
I got it already. I got it. It's right here. This shit is not going to take me long at all. He says, this is what Steve Kim said. It seems like some content creators' fans are vehemently defending Tank Davis. Sounds like they are protecting their access to him or live vicariously through him. That's fine. I get it. But do the fans and others who don't like this Jake Paul escapade have the right to consume it? Has the right as a consumer to not like it? Why would you continue to go to a restaurant that gave you food poisoning every time you frequented that establishment, or the chicken tasted like wood after the restaurant owner is just trying to make a living, right? Steve Kim, shut the fuck up. That is the most bullshit in your long history, Steve Kim, of bullshit. That is the top one. First of all, there are no content creators that I know of that have any steady access to Gervonta Davis. Not one. I don't know anybody that puts out videos in support of Gervonta Davis on a regular basis that has any access to that man at all. The only people that I know have steady access to him are Kenny and Calvin. That's it. So that part of your shit is bullshit. And to say they're protecting their access, dude, that's all you do, Steve, is protect your fucking access. You got little midget niggas like fucking Malachi or whatever his fucking name is, literally doing hit jobs on me, bro, with you standing right behind them, dog. You are the most bought off media, paid off shill that there is, bro. You've literally worked for every one of them scumbag magazines, like from Max Boxing to Ring Magazine to ESPN. You've literally written for every one of them based off the access that you have to fighters that you get because you partner with the Boxing Writers Association of America. You're accusing people of doing what you did. Hell no. No fucking body has access to Gervonta Davis. But let's go to the second part. Do the fans and others who don't like this fight escapade have the right as a consumer to not like? Yes, nobody said you had to like it, Steve. Shut the fuck up. I guarantee you, you've not heard any hardcore boxing fans, Tank fans say they love this fight. Only thing I've heard from hardcore boxing fans, Tank fans, is that they understand it, get your money. That's the most you're going to get. Nobody, and you've not heard one person tell your ass that you have to like it. You're a fucking liar. You, on the other hand, tell everybody they got to like Monster anyway. You, on the other hand, tell all these people who your top 10 is, and it never includes more than 3 black people, and you're always looking for a reason to throw their asses off as soon as they do something you don't like. You're the worst of the fucking worst. So would you continue to go to a restaurant that gave you food poisoning? Let me tell you something, bro. Comparing a Gervonta Davis fight to food poisoning is fucking ridiculous. Gervonta Davis has had every single solitary one of his fights have been exciting. Every one. Where is the food poisoning fight from Gervonta, you fucking liar? Every single solitary one of these fights have been exciting. Lamont Roach fight was exciting. Frank Martin's fight was exciting. Ryan Garcia's fight was exciting. Pitbull Cruz's fight was exciting. Rolly's was fucking exciting. Hector Garcia's was fucking exciting. Yurioka Gamboa's was fucking exciting. All of his fights are exciting. Where is this food poisoning at? There is no food poisoning. His food doesn't taste like wood. He's giving knockouts. What are you talking about? Devin Haney is the motherfucker that's giving out wood food and bullshit we don't want to see. And you guys were supporting him and put him on his pound for pound, and he can't bust a grape with a punch.
Steve Kim is the grand dragon of corporate media. He is someone who, like you said, has affiliations that lie elsewhere. He's a Golden Boy employee. I saw him on Whitlock. Whitlock, I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but some of the stuff I'll listen to. But when he started chiming in, he had Steve Kim come on a cultural issues and non-boxing issues. I lost all respect for Whitlock, Jason Whitlock, after he did that, because
After Jinx like do what?
he has Steve Kim on now
Oh.
for segments on the wider world and cultural issues and stuff like that. So I'm saying, like, when he, there's a lot of stuff that Whitlock says and does that I don't necessarily agree with. Or, I don't agree with it. Things that you do, but the vast majority. I'll never lose my respect for you. But when he brought on Kim to talk about like the cultural issues and the wider world and stuff like that, that's when I lost all respect for him, because that guy is the grand dragon of corporate media. And I did use that word appropriately, chat. He is the grand dragon of corporate media. He's a Golden Boy employee. You want to talk about people that give you food poisoning? Let's talk about Teofimo Lopez, constantly blue balling his 8 fans, rejecting fight after rejecting fight. Subriel Matias can't fight him, turns down the fight, turns out the opportunity. He can't fight Devin Haney, turns down the money, turns out the opportunity. Can't fight now. I guess Shakur Stevenson, they're both cap artists. These are 2 of the biggest cap artists in all of boxing, Shakur and Teofimo. So they're going to fight, but it's all cap. I don't believe they're going to fight. So he's going to give his fights blue balls after that. I'm hearing that Teofimo Lopez Fanon is actually going to fight Pitbull Cruz. I'm hearing that that's a rumor fight in the early part of 2026. That's always been the plan. I'm hearing that despite T.O. putting out tweets and him and Shakur saying they both agreed to the fight, that nobody's agreed to the money. They just agreed to the principle of, would you fight this guy in the future? That was the question. And both Teofimo and Shakur said yes, but the money has not been agreed on. So when they both say that they would fight each other, I'm hearing that that is nowhere near being done. And actually, T.O., for a little while now, the rumor has been that he was going to fight Pitbull Cruz. And again, Steve Kim, the grand dragon of corporate media, hating on Tank's resume. Well, let me ask you something, Steve Kim. Let's go to the welterweight division, Fanon. 2 of the 4 welterweight titleists, champions. Did Shakur beat 2 of those 4 current welterweight champions?
No, he did not.
Did T.O. beat 2 of the 4 current welterweight champions?
He ain't beat none of them.
Did Devin beat 2 of the 4 current welterweight champions?
Not none of them. Might be about to lose the one.
Who beat 2 of the 4 welterweight champions, Fanon?
Oh, that would be Gervonta. for sure.
So,
Gervonta.
so miss me with these guys that you guys have hyped up because they haven't been associated with the PBC. When you have to choose between a black fighter that is with the PBC, like a Deontay Wilder, or one that is not with the PBC, like an Anthony Joshua. Same thing with Tank versus Devin versus Shakur. We know where you choose because we know where your allegiances lie. We know who greases your palms, whose rings you kiss, whose hands you hold, literally these days. So miss me with the stuff about Tank's resume because, yeah, Devin may be more accomplished in terms of belts, whatever you want to say, or Shakur's been unified champion, but their resumes suck. Tank is not trying to fight Yoshino. Tank is not trying to fight Cam Slosis. By the way, George Kambosos may have been the worst unified champion in all of boxing history. T.O. losing to that guy, never trying to rematch the guy. You want to talk about outrage with rematches? Phenom, where was the outrage of saying T.O. should have rematched Jermaine Ortiz? Where was that
Man,
outrage?
let me get into that. There is never outrages for rematches unless it's somebody that somebody don't like. Okay? Because there's no rematch for a lot of people. There's been no rematches for a lot of people. I don't want to go through them, but a lot of people didn't get rematches in close fights. Landy Lara didn't get a rematch with Canelo Alvarez. Nobody
Austin Trout didn't.
Austin Trout didn't. Man, shit. Matter of fact, Canelo didn't rematch somebody he lost to in Bivol. So there's a lot of people that didn't do rematches. A bunch. Terence Crawford ain't doing a Madmarov rematch, and people thought he won that. So, it is what it is. I don't get why people don't think the rematch can still take place. But as if an exhibition can't take place and then you go back to the other fight. It definitely can happen,
Canelo didn't rematch. Look at this, Fanon.
Oh, somebody said control. Real quick. J Milt says, just because Lil Debbie can't punch the grape bus. Dang, come on, man. Let our let's support our color with some color. Hell yeah, support the color with some color, man. Please. Man, would love it, bro. So I don't have to work so hard. But I appreciate any and everybody that supports the channel, bro. Really, I do. Go ahead, come on. I just want to make sure I got that.
In just recent memory, I thought Boachuk got robbed against Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz didn't rematch Boachuk, despite Robert Garcia and Virgil saying they wanted to do the rematch. They ran away from the rematch.
You know why they don't do that? Because they're promoters and stuff. People have sense. They'll say, when we get past a tough fight, you keep going. Don't go back. Just keep going. Because seriously, that's a logical thing. You just keep going. If you fought somebody like Gervonta fought Lamont Roach, like I'm just telling you, if you're somebody that's investing your money, I'm not talking about the fighter himself. If I invested a lot of money in Gervonta and I knew Gervonta just had a really tough fight with Lamont Roach, what am I going to do? I'm trying to tell you, I'm going to pull some of these fucking games that Terence Crawford pulls. But not that Terence Crawford ever pulled them before a fight, but how Terence times fights for certain specific times. They pay attention to whether or not somebody's been drinking, whether or not they've been working out. If I'm Gervonta, I'm looking at all the rumors around Lamont Roach is that this nigga is not focused. All the rumors around him is that he's literally drinking and partying in D.C. So if Gervonta gets disciplined and he lets Lamont just run the gamut a little bit longer, bro, he may get a completely different Lamont Roach when he fights him in a year than he would have got him if he was in shape. I'm going to tell you, like, the perfect example of that was how Sugar Ray Leonard played Roberto Duran after Sugar Ray Leonard lost to Roberto Duran. Because Roberto Duran beat Sugar Ray Leonard, but then he went on a big party in Panama. And so Sugar Ray Leonard knew that he was drinking, knew that he was gaining weight, and he pushed for that rematch to happen as fast as he could because he knew that Roberto Duran was going to have a much harder time losing weight because he was doing all that celebrating. So don't be surprised if Gervonta or the PBC plays games like that because that's what Top Rank does. Top Rank plays those games. Matchroom plays those games. For sure they play those games. So why would you not expect Gervonta to do the same thing when Gervonta Davis is really the biggest money that there is in the sport of boxing? Really, truly is. Because if he can get that type of money with Jake, I hate this shit for boxing. I really do. I hate that Jake Paul can be the ultimate white boy and come over here and take over the whole fucking sport because he's a white boy. Because you know why he can do it too? because you guys spend so much time tearing all the black people down. You spend so much time tearing them down. These guys in PBC probably don't even like fighting very often just because of the amount of noise that the Boxing Writers Association of America makes about them every time they fight. If you want to blame anybody for the downfall of American boxing, blame the Boxing Writers Association of America. They are the #1 organization that corrupts the image of American fighters, the Boxing Writers Association of America, because they are the #1 group of people that sell foreign boxing into the United States. And Steve Kim and these guys have had jobs for a very long time. I've watched Steve Kim. You tell me how a guy that went to work, Steve Kim and Dougie Fisher were working for Max Boxing in the year 2001. None of their shit has ever been significant, yet they've kept their jobs that entire time. Those guys, Dougie Fisher, I'm telling you, Dougie Fisher and Steve Kim have been around. They have done so much damage with the way that they orchestrated the media, the way Mike Coppinger orchestrates the media. You got a bunch of Boxing Writers Association of America selling out American fighters every single solitary day because they want to protect their access to Anthony Joshua. They want to secure their access to Monster Inoue, and they want to secure their access to the promotional budgets of these fighters, because the promotional budgets of the fighters have to include working with the press. Where do you get your money from? Right? You get your money from the promoters. And right now you're in bed with Turki Al-Sheikh, and Turki Al-Sheikh is literally trying to tear down the Muhammad Ali Act. He's out there, according to Jake Paul, tearing down big fights just because of his ego. They said that literally, just because of his ego. Oh, I can't make as big a fight as Jake Paul, so I'm just going to lose a ton of money. And then what does Jake Paul does? Slipped your ass and got Gervonta. Crazy.
And I'll push back on this. I agree with a lot of that, Fanon. It's not, Jake Paul is not that way because he's white, because we've seen with Kelly Pavlik. Kelly Pavlik is not in the Boxing Hall of Fame.
There's no way. I'm talking about MVP Promotions. I'm talking about the platform that he has. If you can name a black person with a Mr. Beast size platform, let me know who they are. Because I don't know any black person in America that has the platform that Jake Paul has. It
takes promotion. It takes some skill for him. Like Logan Paul's now in the WWE.
Let me make sure I clear my point.
Okay. Yeah, clear.
There is no impediments to his success. He does not have to worry about being black. He doesn't have to worry about that. I'm not saying that he didn't earn it, that he didn't do all the work, that he isn't an exceptionally talented person or all of that. I'm not saying that. I know that he's exceptionally talented. I know that he put in the work. I know that he promoted well. I'm giving him credit for everything that he's doing. But one thing he does not have is the impediment of being black, because he's not going to have these guys attacking him off the cuff. Because with black people start trying to do shit like that, they get attacked off the fucking cuff, and we get prevented from getting to that size of an individual. If Muhammad Ali was white, none of that shit in the 60s would have fucking happened to him. He just would have fucking cruised through without a doubt. Look at the difference between Jack Dempsey's life and Joe Lewis's life. Or look at like Max Baer. You remember Max Schmeling?
Yeah.
Max Schmeling came to the United States and like literally bought Coca-Cola distribution companies in Georgia. He's fucking German.
Yeah.
Black Americans couldn't do that shit. He could do that shit. So there's something that Muhammad Ali said that in the 60s, I think it was true of the 60s. It's a little less true now, but it was definitely true in the 60s. That a Greek can come to the United States and come right off the boats in the United States and get opportunities and do things that black people were never allowed to do. Chinese people can come into the United States, get businesses, get loans that black people have never been able to get, never been able to do. They consistently bring in other groups of people to be the barrier between the white population and the black population, and the Latino population, I think, is starting to learn about that process too. So just be clear, I'm not saying that Jake Paul only made it because he's white. because there's a bunch of white people and a whole bunch of white people don't make it. I'm just saying, look, the guy is blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boy, got put on Nickelodeon as a little kid because he was cute, blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boy. That's the source of his fame, was this Nickelodeon. And after that, he then took advantage of that. But dog, that's very, very fucking tough. Look what happened with Bill Cosby when Bill Cosby tried to buy NBC.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he gets piled with like 9,000 lawsuits.
Me too. The Me Too, he got all these Me Too, and that's what I was saying with the Cosby situation. All these women from the 70s, and some of them were white. In the 70s, the America was a lot different than it is now in some respects.
Everybody was fucking everything in the 70s.
Exactly.
In the 60s.
But if as a black man, even if you were rich and powerful in the 70s, to have an allegation from a white woman, that would have ruined your career. And then some of these women that they paraded about Bill Cosby, some of them were white, and they were saying he gave them pudding pops, the Bill Cosby Jello shots, and I was just like, wait a second, if this really happened in the 70s and you're just coming out today, it's like some of these hit pieces. But I will say,
they did a hit piece on Puffy. That shit with Puffy was nothing but a fucking hit piece.
Well, I think that Trump is going to pardon him because Trump is in the second term. He doesn't care. So
he doesn't even need a pardon. He don't even need a pardon. All they got him was for the violation of the Mann Act. He's going to take that shit on appeal. That's going to get thrown the fuck out. I doubt very much that they do anything to him. Ain't he already out?
I think that is he out? I don't know, but I know that
I'm pretty sure he's out.
I know that Trump has said that he felt that he's been treated unfairly. So
look, this is what they did to Puffy. This is what I didn't participate in, and I wanted to start doing it, but I was like, man, I can't even participate in that shit. Basically, what Puffy was doing is everybody in the 1990s was doing that shit, man. I used to have parties. We'd be like, we play Truth or Dare. We used to call the shit Truth or Dare. So it'd be like 2 dudes, and we get like 3 girls, and we play Truth or Dare. Like, hey, y'all want to drink? You want to play Truth or Dare? By the time you get done playing Truth or Dare, somebody's over there doing it. They're doing it over there. We doing it over there. It was pretty much just the same thing that he did, but he did it like, oh, he's still in jail for 9. Okay, he gonna get off. But basically, he was doing this. That's the same shit everybody was doing, was having those parties and drinking and all of that stuff, man. I never saw how they could have been a RICO. Like, how is that a RICO? Like, because you are having sex parties. That's not a RICO, and that's why that RICO shit got put the fuck out. I think he's on a Mann Act, though.
Well, yeah, because they constructed these. Oh, Fadon, did you go on mute or something?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so the way they construct this law, and that's why I tell people in the chat, be careful. You can actually get in trouble if these overzealous prosecutors and police officers want to get you. If you and your girlfriend or your wife are one of y'all are out of state, you fly her in, y'all do your thing, they can get you on trafficking technically. And so, like you said,
they want to get you for that shit though.
I'm just saying they could charge you. A lot of that stuff I've seen people get charged for this stuff where somebody's across state lines. I forgot the technicalities. I'm not a lawyer. You know more than I do. But to a certain degree, you're across state lines. You fly in. Let's say your girlfriend's in Atlanta. You're in L.A. You fly her in. Y'all do your thing or whatever. Technically, they could get you for this trafficking or this sex for money thing. So a lot of that is where the legal gray, where the law and overzealous prosecutor can get you. But that's what I was going at. But I will say this with Jake Paul. I'd like to clarify.
Let me give it quick on the Mann Act.
Okay.
Just very high. The Mann Act basically is a way to federalize morality. Because the only time that the federal government can get involved is if it involves interstate commerce or interstate commerce. And I think anything over, I don't know if it's $250, $2,500, whatever, but it's those two things. It's a certain dollar amount, and it either has to be granted specifically by the Constitution for the federal government, or it has to involve interstate commerce with over a certain dollar amount. So what they're trying to do is they are trying to say that it's kind of like a federal prostitution act where they say, okay, well, if you cross state lines, we want to get you. So we're just going to say, oh, you violated federal law because it's the crossing of state lines for that purpose. And then if it's over a certain amount of money, and they can attach any money to it, boom, they're able to elevate it to a federal charge. And then they're able to basically federalize their morality is what it is. And honestly, the way that I look at it is just that's just some shit to get some fucking body if you want to get them. Because I mean, if I travel across state, if I fly a girlfriend across state, and then I have sex with her and buy her something, then they can argue that, oh, I flew her over here and the present I bought her was in exchange for the sex. But that's what people do every day. You fly somebody in, somebody from overstate into your house or whatever, and then you kick it with them because they live in a different state. That shit is just a way to find somebody that you don't like and get them, kind of like the way that they do tax evasion, for gangsters. You know, they don't give a shit if they want to stop they get them for tax evasion, but really what they're trying to do is get them for all the other shit that they're doing.
Like Al Capone. That's what they did Al Capone for.
Like Al Capone. Yeah, that's how they do that shit. They get you on tax evasion, and on here they want to get you because you're Jack. They didn't give a shit they didn't want Jack Johnson sleeping with white women at all. So yeah.
That's how they got him. That's what I was going to think of. Great minds think alike for Don Jack. Didn't they get Jack Johnson on that? Because
they got Jack Johnson on the Mann Act. That's why I'm saying it's bullshit. Like on appeal, I think he should be able to get rid of that on appeal because I think he's talking about Cassie. If he's talking about Cassie and he brought a prostitute for his wife and flew him in, and that's what I think that's what they're charging because there was like male prostitutes that had sex with Cassie. So it's like crazy. Anyway, freaky styles. You set yourself up when you got a freaky lifestyle. You do set yourself up for to be able to get set up. It's tough.
Well, I mean, Hollywood is the most depraved industry probably in all of America. So you're wanting to get people on sex parties because you don't like them because they're not in the know. They're low hanging fruit, man. I got zero respect for.
Yeah, I have a guy. Just so you know. I got into it with somebody in my town. Dude, this dude walked up to me, right? And he said something to me. And I was like, he thought I spit on the sidewalk. He thought I spit on his car. And he ran up to me. And I was like, man, I didn't spit on your car. And I told this nigga, I said, man, don't run up on me again. The dude looked at me and was like, man, you don't know who I am. And I was like, man, I know who you are. You're a sheriff or something, right? Because only a fucking cop is going to run up to me like that. So he was a cop or something. I knew he's a cop, but I still told him, don't run up on me because you are plainclothes right now. I can whoop your ass and won't be no problem. However, shortly thereafter, bro, I'm followed by all kind of sheriffs. Like I'm driving a sheriff car right behind me. I'm driving over here. There's another sheriff's car. Then all of a sudden I go somewhere and shopping and they say, oh, you can't be, it's trespassing. Like what? So a bunch of bullshit went down, bro, because cats in positions of power will absolutely set you up and try to fuck you over if you run into them foul. And if you're not somebody that is as influential as you think you are, you can absolutely get caught. Nothing happened to me because I don't give a fuck what that sheriff thinks. Man, fuck out of here. I'm me. So that sheriff can be as mad as he wants at me. He just gonna find out later on he can't do nothing. But at the same time, bro, absolutely people will try to set you up on charges. They will set you up on charges to boot. They will find the girl to send the girl to you and get her to fly over state for you to do that. They will entrap you themselves. Somebody hating on you will entrap you. And then they'll call a prosecutor. I'm going to say this quietly because my wife don't like when I say this, but I can put charges on people for sure. Absolutely, I have put charges on people just by being like, look, bro, this is what's going on. And then before you know it, these people got all kind of people in their business, bro. That's not hard to do. So you just got to be like, but that's getting back to the boxing conversation. That's what's going on with Gervonta. And when you see Jake Paul say what happened with Turkey Al-Sheikh, that's what Turkey Al-Sheikh did. Turkey Al-Sheikh just wants to screw over Jake Paul. So he's going to spend all kind of money to try to get in the way of Jake Paul's fight. That's how these people think. And then, like I said, you got to track. Whenever these guys got YouTube channels, always look for the fat white man. I'm telling you, if you ain't found the fight for fat white man, you ain't looked hard enough because the person is going to be there responsible for the money. And those guys and all of that shit can absolutely get you. Look what they did. I mean, What they did to Bill Cosby, what they did to, there's no coincidence that they did that shit to R. Kelly. They did shit to Bill Cosby. They did it to Puffy Combs. They did it to who was the other guy they did it to? They've even done the shit to some white boys. Took them out heavy. If they're getting in the way of what these guys want to do. So, like in boxing, bro, Gervonta Davis is in the way. Yeah, Prince. Gervonta Davis is in the way of what Turkey Al-Sheikh wants to do in America. Jake Paul is in the way of what Turkey Al-Sheikh wants to do in America because those guys are American making American fights. What Turkey Al-Sheikh wants to do is take all. I got you, Marcus. He wants to take all the talent out of the United States and shove the shit in Saudi Arabia so he can spend government money. Because Turkey ain't spending his own money; he's just wasting government money. Like that's the Turkey Al-Sheikh is like walking Saudi Arabian corruption, if you ask me. What's up, King of Hate? Let me get this super chat real quick, and I'll let King of Hating go. Say Johnny Depp. Oh, yeah, Johnny Depp got done too. He got off though. He should get locked up for domestic violence. Yeah, he beat the shit out of her, bro. God dog, man. Puffy got an anger issues. Chris Tucker said that in Rush Hour 2. Follow the rich white man. Yeah, you got to seriously, bro. Anytime I want to know what goes down, I just track it to the rich white man. The rich white man behind Terence Crawford right now is Ari Emanuel. It's Ari Emanuel and Rahm Emanuel. That's why I'm not tripping because I know who those dudes are. Turkey Al-Sheikh, on the other hand, I don't know about Mohammed bin Salman. I don't have any connection. I think, and let me get this, and then I'll let y'all cook. Let me get this.
You got a Cash App or something.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, brother. Yes, sir. Big $5 hard. Marcus Bridges says Gervonta is doing a school supply giveaway. Yes, sir. Thank you. Gervonta Davis is a good dude, man. Anyway, so what's on your mind? Come on, and you guys can cook.
I was gonna say y'all ain't doing enough hating this morning. Like, I'm kind of bland.
Yeah, go ahead, Nate. Oh, hold on. Hey, 2 Cents says it's the small hats. Let me tell you, the small hats, bro, them small hats have always hated me. Bro, these dudes, woo, them small hats, bro. I don't give a shit. I think I might be like one of the 1 or 2 black people that really don't care about the small hats and what the small hats can do. Because the small hats, honestly, they can't fuck with me either. But they fuck with a lot of black people, bro. I mean, they fuck with a lot of black people. They really, 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 really got Black America underneath their thumb. I mean, without a doubt, bro. And that's most time when I'm talking about when you'll find the fat white man. He's gonna be over there. Well, okay, go ahead. Come on, my bad. I mean, King of Celebration.
Yeah, oh yeah, we celebrating now. Cause who got the biggest fight in boxing right now? And I know it's not the fight of the century.
Jake predicted it.
Hey, you remember that one picture? Hey, I got one. You remember that one picture Tank did of like the last promotion for the Lamar Roach fight, where he like flipping the camera off, but he kind of doing it like he's hiding it from the other people. Hey, it's kind of like that. Like, oh, you thought you had the fight of the century, but that was before my fight was enough. So yeah, man, like. It's kind of funny seeing how it's done turned the whole boxing community on its head. Everybody don't know how to act. Man, Devin Haney out there tweeting that he thrives in chaos. Man, we seen how he handled chaos with that Ryan Garcia ass whooping and the shit with his baby mama. That wasn't him thriving in chaos. That was chaos thriving in him. He ended up suing both of them for emotional distress and shit. That shit horrible. And then we got Paulie Malignaggi out here hating on black fighters like he always do. Can you believe what this dude said? Paulie Malignaggi got out here and said that Gervonta Davis is only popular because he's black and he seems ghetto. That's it. How
that'll do it. Hold on. What the fuck is wrong with that, Paulie? What the fuck is wrong with that, Paulie? What's wrong with that? That's a good thing. We got a lot of black people in the ghetto. Fuck is wrong with you, Paulie? That's what he's supposed to do, Paulie. That's what you're supposed to do. Fuck is wrong with that? People only like him because he's black and he's from black neighborhood. Paulie, you're a fucking idiot, Paulie. If you truly believe that, then guess what? You will never like a black fighter, because that's why black fighters become popular, because they're black and people in their community relate to them. That's the same reason Ali got popular, because he was black and because he related to the people in the ghetto. What? He used to walk around the ghetto. He grew up right across the street from the ghetto. That's what the fuck? That's the bedrock of the bedrock of Black America is the ghetto. Because that's where most of us are. That's where we're supposed to. That's what he's supposed to do, Paulie. The fuck is wrong with you, Paulie? You're a racist, Paulie, and you're jealous if that's what you say. Because you can't get popular around Italians. How about you do some shit that what people would want to be around with you because you're Italian and because you're from New York? Dude, it's not Gervonta Davis's fault that Gervonta Davis is popular. You can't just explain away just because you explained his popularity. No, he's not just because he's black, he's from the inner city. No, because he's knocking everybody out and he puts on spectacular fights. That's just like Steve Kim saying that Gervonta Davis's fights is like chicken that tastes like wood. You're a fucking liar. That shit you niggas don't know how to cook. Black folk can cook. He's cooking. That's some shit I want to see. That's some food I want to eat. Of course. That's why black people, don't you notice that most of the successful black people eventually in entertainment, they come from the ghetto? That's why. Because that's where all the talent is. You fucking idiot. He said that shit.
Yeah, that wasn't the only thing he said. He said because of that, promoters don't know how to promote, and they're not going to try or make any effort to promote a black person unless they seem like they ghetto enough. It's basically what he was saying. So he's saying outside of seeming like you from the streets of the ghetto, like the promoters ain't really gonna mess with you. And that's how Gervonta Davis is manufactured to be as popular as he is. Because I'm just like, Paulie, do you realize that you are explaining exactly what Turkey Al-Sheikh is doing? Being manufactured, telling people that, oh, this fighter is this fighter is that. He even used the Nike shoes he was wearing as an example, like, oh yeah, people in the boxing world are dumb, so you can sell them anything. And you can have this Nike shoe on my left foot, fight this Nike shoe on my right foot, and it would be the biggest fight ever because people are that dumb. I'm like, y'all not see that's what they're doing with Canelo and Bud? Trying to tell us it's the fight of the century? Doing all this extra stuff.
You know what you do? Do you know what you do if people would watch a left shoe fight a right shoe? Do you know what you should immediately do? You should immediately find a left foot and a right foot and make them fight. Because what people want to see dictates what people want. People aren't dumb. That's what they want. Paulie, you think people are dumb because they don't want the same thing that you want? No more than you're dumb because you want something that they do different. Bro, none of these people these guys don't have 500 amateur fights and 30 professional fights. People ain't sitting up in the gym watching all these X's and O's and all the shit that you guys think is so fucking important. You guys overanalyze in boxing and over talking that shit is just as bad as the people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because you guys are always sitting there telling us what we shouldn't want. Bro, the first time I saw Gervonta Davis fight, he was electrifying, bro. And it was in a world championship fight against Jose Pedraza, dog. That's why I wanted to see the dude fight. But the reason that the fight was so popular was because Gervonta Davis has been entertaining people in Baltimore his whole life. He's big in Baltimore because of what he did fighting other black people in Baltimore. And if what you said was true, like, I'm going to go on this. Just like Jake Paul, I said Jake Paul does not have the impediment of being black, so therefore he can do some things that would be more difficult to do if he was black. The same thing applies to entertainment in the United States, brother. If you're black and you're the best black entertainer, nigga, we the best entertainers there are. So therefore, if you're the top black fighter, you're going to be the top fighter, dumbass. That's the truth. If you're the richest white man, you're going to be the richest person. If you're the best black entertainer, you're going to be the best entertainer, because that's what we've been allowed to do in the United States, you dumbass. We're the entertainment, you dumbass. from jazz to hip hop to bebop, all of that shit, the blues, basketball, football, baseball. We are the entertainment superpower, you fucking idiot. We are an entertainment cultural superpower. People dress like us, they talk like us, they want to be with us, they like us because we're American and we've been here the whole fucking time. You guys don't get to act like, oh, they only like them because they're black. You fucking right. People like black. Just like your girl fucked Adrian Bronner because she wanted something black. Don't be mad. Don't be mad, Paulie. Don't be mad. Yes, we black people are very talented and we are the leaders in the entertainment industry easy. So if a black person gets black people behind them, there's no need for the white promoter to promote him. What the fuck does Gervonta Davis need a white promoter to promote him for? He doesn't. Did Mike Tyson need a promoter to promote him? No, Paulie Malignaggi. Mike Tyson did not need a promoter to promote him. Guess who else didn't need a promoter to promote him? Muhammad Ali didn't need a promoter to promote him. Guess who else didn't need a promoter? Sugar Ray Leonard didn't need a promoter to promote him. Because guess what? Once you have the backing of your people, you don't need a promoter. So of course we're not going to put the energy behind promoting them. Your promotional skills suck dick. Let me tell you. Your promoters are write a bunch of bullshit fucking articles in the Boxing Writers Association. This is how you promote. We will get in contact and pay off the Boxing Writers Association of America for good reports. Then we'll go over to these bozo ass niggas on YouTube and pay them a bunch of money to tear down our competition. That's your promotion. Meanwhile, because you guys don't know how to fuck to promote. You ain't made a fucking star in forever. The real reason you want American boxing to die is because you can't figure out how to sell to white people. But guess what? The number one way to sell to white people is get black people. That's the number one to say to white people. Find some black people. You remember the show The Office? And I'm gonna let y'all cook. Do you remember the show The Office?
The UK or the American version?
They wouldn't have put that on TV today because of all the Me Too stuff. That wouldn't go on TV.
Watch it. There was a statement. You remember there was a guy, I can't remember the German guy. He's kind of like God, man, what is this fucking name, bro? I can't remember. The guy with the glasses. But anyway, what he said was, a character said he wanted to open a gym, and this is how you open a gym and be successful. You open a gym and you make black people go to the gym. When you get the black people in the gym, then the white people will go to the gym. And after you get all the white people in the gym, you got to find a way to kick all the black people out. That's how you make a successful business in America. Let me repeat this. What he said was, if you want a successful gym, you get black people to go to the gym. When it becomes popular with black people, it will then get the curiosity of white people. White people will then come over and start participating in your gym because they want to be with the black people. Very underrated experience in America. White people and black people fight a lot, but really and truly, we cross paths a lot. But they know that if it gets too popular, they don't want it to get too ghetto, because when you get it too ghetto, then you're not going to make the money. Since white people got the money, you sucker the white people in there with black people, and then you slowly but surely get rid of the black people so that you can have a firm base and these guys can come in. And you may have one or two black people in there, but not as many black people as you had before. That is how rock and roll got big, because we were playing rock and roll. Guys like Little Richard, guys like Chuck Berry. And then guess what? White boys heard it. They started playing it. And then all of a sudden, what? It becomes very, very popular. But what happens when they get rid of all the black people? It then morphs into heavy metal and a bunch of other shit that people don't want to listen to because all the black people got out of rock music and it turned to something way different than what originally attracted it. That's why all those heavy metal bands went out of business, because they tried to take all the black out of rock. Didn't work. But now, what are they doing? They have a lot more soulful white singers. Guys like Justin Bieber, guys like Justin Timberlake, even guys like I count Drake as one of these Canadian ass dudes.
Sam Smith.
Yeah, Sam Smith. That's what you see.
Who's that guy? I wonder. what was that show with Kirk Cameron, his son, Alan Thicke, who recently
No
died?
Wonder
Isn't
Years.
his
Yeah, you're talking about Alan Thicke, because Alan
Alan,
Thicke is, and then his
yeah,
son.
his son, isn't
Yeah,
his son one of these
yeah,
white boys with the soul?
yeah, absolutely. And they were doing that shit in the 70s too. They had a lot of white boys who were singing like that. But you guys missed that part. Black America in its essence is three different things. And I mean, there's other groups for sure, but really the three big players are white people, black people, and Mexicans. Those are the three players. Black people, white people, Mexicans. I didn't say Latinos, because Latinos is some big bucket they're trying to throw everybody in. No. Mexicans, blacks, and white folk. If black folk, white folk, and Mexicans get behind an event, that shit is going to be gigantic. That's why Jake Paul went for a Mexican and a black, because he's white. And he's going to bring all of those casuals that you guys are always crying about. You remember when they used to say that all the time? We need more casuals. We need casuals. This is going to attract the casuals. There's no bigger casual magnet than Jake Paul. And he's white. And he's going to bring in all that white money. And Tank is going to collect that white money, just like Muhammad Ali used to collect that white money, just like Floyd started collecting that white money. That's when you do 3-4 million pay-per-views, when you get white people involved. And it's a big battle between the UFC and boxing for years, because the UFC was siphoning off white fans. So they were like, oh, boxing is dying off. Why? Because the white fans started going over to UFC. When the white fans before were watching boxing, but we whooped their asses so bad that, hey, man, they got tired of the shit and got another sport. Anyway, yeah, that the racial dynamics of entertainment in the United States is essentially that. The Puerto Ricans are of secondary concern, and I got a lot of respect for you. There's just not enough of you. There's just not enough. Even Asians, there's not enough. They are very influential in corporate America and becoming CEOs and running organizations, but in the streets, where the massive amount of consumers are, and there's not enough of them to be consumers. There's not enough of them to be consumers other than them being consumers of their own products in their own neighborhoods. There's enough black people in America where we can truly be big consumers of everybody, which is why guys like Joe A refer to the United States as the biggest marketplace in the world. They want our marketplace, which means what? They want our money. So sorry, fellas, Gervonta Davis is what we want to buy. Figure out a fucking way to give it to us. Otherwise, your shit's going to flop. Or you better find a white boy that can do something from the United States. But even the white boy is not going to be big without the black dude, because you don't have the race war aspect of it. You don't. We have a
Especially
race
in
war
boxing.
aspect. What do you say?
Especially in boxing. That's big in boxing.
Yeah, it's huge in boxing. But anyway, I'll let y'all cook for a second. Go ahead, man.
But
I
but,
ran.
But I
even
just
the
wanted
rate.
to,
Go ahead, Jason.
I just wanted to say this real quick, kind of switching subjects. Actually, it's not switching subjects. And I wanted to say, if y'all check out my video, I did a live review to that Paulie video, and it just, the things that Paulie said was absolutely ridiculous. People want to make people believe that if you're a Tank fan, you're dumb. Like, that's the consensus that they're trying to spread. Like, all these people support Tank because they're dummies. And I'm like, that can't possibly be true. The market decides what they like. All of these other fighters had opportunities to promote themselves, build their fan bases, but they weren't focused on that. And I'm not saying they did right or wrong. I think fighters can focus and do whatever they want to do, but they weren't focused on building a fan base. They were focused on getting guaranteed money. And that's the difference. That's why Tank Davis, I heard Andre Ward say in the Devin Haney interview, I don't care if the promoter make their money back. I don't care nothing about that. It ain't on me to worry about if the promoter make the money back. And I'm like, okay, well then that's
Who said that? Andre or Shakur?
Andre Ward.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, you haven't put yourself in a position to where when people work with you, everybody surrounded by you is going to be profitable. Gervonta Tank Davis, everybody that even mentions his name, post content, tweet about him, post videos about him, they're profitable. Anybody that attaches themselves to Tank becomes profitable. That's the biggest difference. And these people refuse to either be honest about the business of boxing or understand the business of boxing, which is why they remain confused. And now I wanted to say this.
That's William. Before you go on Andre Ward, that's a level of selfishness that you need to get past.
They're
If
all
you
like
don't
that
think-
over there.
Let me finish. Let me finish real quick. If you don't believe that it's important that the people that you do business with make money, people are not going to want to do business with you over a long period of time. When you have partners, your number one priority should be, along with yourself, that your partners do well. It's mandatory because you have a relationship with somebody, Andre. That is a very, very bad piece of advice. And if that is how you lived, then it could explain why you might not have made the money that you could have made. You leave a lot whenever you have somebody leave business with you, feeling as if they've been taken advantage of, or you got the better of the deal, bro, they are not going to want to do business with you again. And your reputation will continue. When your reputation will suffer, and you will start having to deal with business with people that are so penny pinching that they're never going to pay you, because you got to have, it's a penny in, a penny out. If you want somebody to risk their money for you, then you got to risk their money. You got to risk yourself for them to get money too. That's just a very immature. I mean, I'm a fan of Andre Ward, but as a negotiator and as somebody that does deals, I've never had somebody leave a deal with me where they didn't feel like they got a great deal and where they felt like they got taken advantage of. Nobody. You can never find anybody to ever say that about me. But Terence, everybody says that. It's obvious that he don't give a fuck about the next guy. You guys don't understand, Bud. I mean, I'm saying, Andre, you are in a business relationship with the guy that you fight, and you're in a business relationship with the promoter. Trying to penny pinch and get over on your business partners it's never a good practice, bro. You should change that, man. You're wrong about that. Go ahead, 2 Cent.
I think that's the mentality of all those guys over there, the Bud Crawfords, the Shakur Stevensons. I feel like that's their mentality, which is why. You remember, because they were like, oh, Bud don't do interviews. He don't like doing interviews. Like, they didn't market themselves. They didn't make themselves fan-friendly. And it seems to be a campaign to tear down the boxers that are fan-friendly and that are working on building their fan base. And that leads me to my next point. This whole Boots Ennis didn't stay on code because he's sparring Canelo. And I think that that's one of the most ridiculous things I ever heard. When I seen a video with Canelo sparring Ennis, I was like, oh, that's dope. That's cool. Because, you know, usually when people are attached to people like that with sparring stories, it ups their stock, right? People like, oh, he's sparring him. Oh, he gave him good sparring. It ups their stock. And I feel like there was an agenda to take that opportunity and not let Boots Ennis' stock be raised from sparring with Canelo and try to do the opposite, which is tear him down and saying stupid shit like, oh, he basically because he black, he shouldn't go spar Canelo to help Canelo get ready for the Crawford fight, as if Boots has some obligation to Crawford to not go do that. And so when I first started seeing that, I was like, oh, okay, that's a few people. But it kind of blew up and went viral on the internet. Can you hear me? Hello?
2 Cents, go ahead. I think Fanon's
I
on the
think he might
call.
be on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
And so I was like, I started seeing more people talking about it, and they're like, oh, I'm not going to support Boots no more. Boots is a cool, Boots off code, Boots is trash. And I'm like, I don't understand this. This is something regular and normal that happens in boxing. And I'm like, the people that's putting this information out, I feel like they should know better than to, because Boots Ennis isn't the only black sparring partner Canelo has in camp. Terence Crawford got other ethnicities of sparring partners in his camp. There is no code in boxing to not help somebody get ready for a fight. And then I don't like how Bernie the Boxer came on and agitating and kind of adding flames to the fire about Boots sparring Canelo. And then he's gonna say, well, if Crawford beat Canelo, he beat Canelo and Boots. And I'm like, no, what is up with this? We gonna take credit for somebody else's win if they beat somebody. I don't understand that. So I just wanted y'all to, I hadn't heard y'all talk about that with the whole he off code and he black thing. I just wanted to get y'all 2 cents about that.
Well, if that's the case, hey, I'm calling on what's his name, Big Mac, to stop training Lester Martinez against my guy Christian and Billy. If there's a code against black people not working against other black people, so Big Mac, take Lester Martinez out of your camp, pull him from the fight against Christian and Billy, because someone of a different ethnicity can't help each other out. And it's always one way, right? So, hey, that's the natural consequence of that thinking. Lester Martinez drop out of the Christian and Billy fight. Big Mac throw Lester Martinez out of that fight with Christian and Billy. Right? Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. This shit is ridiculous, though. But yeah, you're right.
There was one thing Two Sands was talking on that I wanted to touch on, and that's what she was saying about the fighters is not marketing themselves, promoting themselves and stuff. Y'all remember when I said that some of the issues for like Bud and for Shakur and Devin has been like coming up. They didn't have those fights like Mayweather did when he was coming up, where it's like, oh, it looks like they could lose. It's maybe a 50-50 fight, or maybe they're not the favorite. Like, when is the last time they was in a situation where they weren't the favorite? They were the underdog, and that's the reason that Lloyd was separated from them, because Floyd did have those fights where he was the underdog coming up, or where it looked like to the public that he might stand a chance to lose. So what's funny about that is Dan Raphael, he came out and said something recently where it's like what he said was, if you're fighting the fights that people want to see and you're taking those tough challenges, then the money will be there. And that kind of lets you know, hey, look at where Tank is and look at where them other guys are, who is really taking the challenges. And that just goes to speak for itself. Like, people
Well,
forget that.
they just keep Phoenix. They just keep repeating.
Hey, I'll be
Tank
right
ain't
back,
fought
y'all. Y'all
nobody.
good for a minute? I'll be right back.
Yeah.
They
Hey,
keep
y'all, real
repeating
quick
Tank.
though. Hey, thank you to everybody that supports in the super chat and the cash app. Really, really appreciate it. It is how the channel is able to go. Thank you very, very, very much to everybody. If I'm slow getting to them, please forgive me. But thank y'all so much for support. I'll be right back.
Crawford has never been the underdog in a fight until Canelo. To piggyback off what Phoenix said, he's never been an underdog, even against Spence. He wasn't in Vegas. He was not the underdog.
Yep. And that
Well,
too, saying, what was you saying?
they keep saying Tank ain't fought nobody. Tank ain't fought nobody. Right? They keep repeating this, and I'm like, maybe your favorite fighter shouldn't fight nobody then. Maybe they shouldn't fight nobody either. And then when you bring up, well, Rolly Romero is the champion. Rolly trash. He got beat by the old man, and then he beat Ryan Garcia. That was on drive. They jumped through hoops. Pitbull
You want to know what's
was the
funny?
champion. Oh, Pitbull was trash. Pitbull was trash. Mario Barrios was the champion. He was the weakest link at 140. And I'm like, really, y'all? It's not that he ain't fought nobody. It's just that y'all keep discrediting all the people that he fought. 6 of his opponents are ranked in the top 10 right now in whatever weight class they in. How he ain't fought
Yep.
nobody?
So you want to know what's funny about that? Because like if you talk to these same people, right? They also gonna be the same people saying, "Oh, Tank should unify," simply because Devin Haney got all the belts off Cambosa. So I say this: who is Tank fought at 135 that George Cambosos can beat? You could maybe say Gamboa right now because he's old. But at the time that Tank fought him, who is Devin Haney fought at 135 that could beat the people on Tank's resume at 135? We got Lomachenko, and that's it. That's it.
But
Lomachenko,
you
the
can't
only
even
one
say
who
Loma
maybe.
would beat him for real. You can't even say Loma would
Yeah,
You
beat him
can't
for
even
real.
that.
yeah,
You
because
can't.
I can't say comfortably that Lomachenko would beat Ryan Garcia because of them fast hands. Them fast hands is always going to be a game changer. And Lomachenko does get hit, like we seen what happened with Tio. Tio kept up with Lomachenko just because he was athletic enough. And he's the only person who beat Lomachenko convincingly in his 3 losses. The first was Salido. We got Tiafimo, then we got Devin. And Tiafimo did it better than Salido did it better than Devin did. And then we look at Shakur's resume at 135. Who has Shakur fought at 135 to beat Rolly Romero?
Shakur ain't fought no
Mr.
Who?
champion at
Miyagi,
135. Shakur resume
That's
at
what.
135 is trash. And then he got Zapata, who was the best win he got at 135. And Zapata ain't never been a champion. But I don't hear nobody jumping through hoops to say that.
dude, Tevin Farmer exposed Zapata as being a paper tiger. They
And, Te- and
exposed
Tevin Farmer
Zapata.
and Tevin Farmer got the same punching power as Paulie Malignaggi. How you 40 plus fights in and 10 knockouts? Like, like, come on. And Zepeda got smacked by that. Like, man, people keep
Zapata was a
on.
hype job. A guy who couldn't punch his way out of a paper bag. He just throws a lot of punches. But if you had any semblance of a defense or any boxing IQ, you beat the guy. That
Wait, hold
Zepeda
on,
was
hold
a
on.
hype job, and I said that going into the fight, Shakur stands, because I know you're gonna get on me on the fight. I said if Shakur doesn't stop Zepeda, it is a disappointment. Go ahead, Phoenix. Sorry.
Okay, no, I'm gonna say like Sunchild talking about Tank fanboys. I want to know from him who is Shakur fight at 135 to be Rolly Romero? Huh?
And then let me
Who?
say this too
You,
about
no,
that
I
Tank
want to know.
fanboy.
Do you know 2 cents?
Say that again. What was the question?
Who at 135 is Shakur fought to be Rolly Romero? I could say Edwin De Los Santos maybe because of his punching power, but that's not
That's
even a
probably it.
guarantee. So
That's
who
probably
who
it.
for sure at 135 that Shakur fought, we're gonna say is gonna beat Rolly Romero is what I want to know. And if people can't
Nobody.
answer that, but they can't be talking about fanboys. Like, come on, man. People really downplay Tank's opponents that much, and at the same time, like, okay, Gamboa was a big win for Devin, even though he fought him years after Tank did. Zepeda, Keyshawn Davis saying that's his best win when Tank beat him 7 to 8 years ago. And then we got Ryan Garcia for Devin too. And look what happened there. And then they was even talking about fighting Pitbull, like you saying. Like it's crazy. Why do they want to fight the same people if Tank ain't fought nobody? Or are they
Exactly.
trying to cherry pick? They're trying to get some easy wins, pad their records. Is that what it is?
They want to fight Tank's leftovers, but who's rushing to fight their leftovers? And I'm not even calling Lomachenko a leftover of Devin Haney because many people, myself included, think that white boy beat Devin Haney. And Devin Haney ran away from that rematch the same way he ran out of the ring with Shakur, the same way he ran away from a hot division at 140, entered capping about Subriel Matias and Peter Kahn and all that stuff, and ended up ducking and running his tail after talking all that trash about Gary Antoine Russell. He ran out of a hot division at 140 after what? Just one fight, paying Sandor Martin step aside money. So all these dudes are full of shit, man. Because T.O. is fighting these guys like that Canadian plumber, Steve Claggett, going 12 rounds with Steve Claggett. You put Steve Claggett in front of Tank Davis. First of all, you guys would complain if Tank fights a Canadian domestic level dude with 7 losses. You put him in front of Tank. Is Tank going 12 rounds with Steve motherfucking Claggett?
Nope.
Really? T.O.'s turning down fight after fight after fight. T.O.'s more famous for turning down fights than he is for actually who he beat. So all these guys, again, and I had revealed exclusively on Fanaz's channel that the rumor is Pitbull Cruz and T.O. was done a few months ago, and that's what's waiting to be announced. So when T.O.'s talking about fighting Shakur, it's done, it's all this other tweeting, all this other between two cap artists, I'm told that is capped, that those two will be fighting that Pitbull Cruz. So if Tank's resume is trash, if these guys are wood chicken, as Steve Kim, the grand dragon of corporate media, wants to say, why do y'all want to fight Tank's leftovers? Why are those compelling matchups in the marketplace? They're not cherry picks. They're compelling fights in the marketplace. You can't have it motherfucking both ways.
But I want somebody to tell me what other people are doing. Like when they bring it up, all they keep talking about is belts. Like somebody tried to argue with me yesterday that Devin Haney is a great fighter because he beat Kambosos for undisputed. I'm like, Devin Haney's a good fighter. He ain't no fucking great. He's a great fighter because he beat Kambosos. Well, he was undisputed, but he beat Kambosos for the undisputed. So what makes him the great fighter? That he got undisputed, the belt, or that he beat Kambosos? Like, which one? Like, that's not how this works, and people don't want to realize that. And then you got to take into account, wouldn't Tank be able to fight better competition because he's a bigger payday? So people will be
He
more
has
willing
fought better
to.
competition.
No, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Like, people are more willing to fight Tank before they worried about fighting for a belt. You think people will fight Shakur for a belt or fight Tank for nothing? Even though Tank has a belt, but I'm just saying, like, who do you think they gonna pick? So I think that them keep riding on the fact that this person's unified or this person's got belts and that's what makes them this great fighter. If boxing turned into that, in my opinion, it would absolutely die because y'all only want boxing to be for hardcore fans. And boxing is not only for hardcore fans. There are several different markets within boxing that you can play in, which is why Jake Paul was able to come in boxing and be as successful as he is on top of bringing his own fan base.
Exactly.
You
People
That's
want to
can't.
how
see an
Ryan,
entertaining fight.
and
Yeah,
that's why
Ryan
Ryan
too.
was successful, because Ryan and Tank was a great fight that sold because Ryan brought in a great fan base outside of boxing. They hated on Ryan so much when Tank fought him. And then what let me ask you this. If Tank is not the money man, if he's not the face of boxing, why did Ryan and Tank do double what Errol and Crawford did? And why why did Ryan and Devin capped about making 50 million against Ryan, but why are Ryan and Devin saying they still ain't got paid by Golden Boy if Tank ain't the face of boxing?
2 words:
Exactly.
mass appeal.
I'll say this for I hop off. See, you saying what you're talking about is something I've been saying a lot, and that's that fighters do not promote themselves. Like the reason that a lot of these guys is able to come in, like you said about Jake Paul coming in, right? Look what Floyd did, and I said this a bunch of times. Look how many different crowds he appealed to. He appealed to hip hop for having 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, and Machine Gun Kelly hanging around, and then some of them even carrying his belts of leg-ins in the ring walk. He went in WWE, had a match in WWE, had Triple H carrying his belts for some of his fights too. He had Justin Bieber up in the gym training with him and everything, and getting in the fights. Because you see, I think he got in the fight at the Waffle House or at McDonald's or something shortly after that. Then we seen Floyd was on Dancing with the Stars. He went and he was even doing live streams in the middle of the night to talk to fans, like from home at his mansion and stuff, like just talking to the fans, kicking and chilling it. So like with that, appealing to all those different crowds, that's why he went ahead and got all that brought in the boxing. And that's why Jake Paul is successful right now, because he took all his people that knew him from Disney Channel and YouTube, and the people that follow him and his brother. And shit, his brother being in WWE, and they got their own podcast and everything too. Like they went ahead and brought those fans with them to wherever they're going, and they keep on catering to those fans that have been supporting them. Like they was already millionaires before they came in boxing. They got their own businesses, like them Prime Energy drinks. That's Jake Paul. Like they got all this stuff outside of boxing. That's what I've been saying. Like all these fighters are talking about, they don't care about the fans and stuff. They don't care, like Terence Crawford is there. Or why would I support people who's going to be paying me anyway? And then Shakur talking about he don't fight for the fans and all this and that. And then we got and we got all these people like Andre Ward just now saying he don't care the promoters make money back. Don't they realize that if the promoter is making money back, that increases your chance of getting something on the back end? Don't they realize that if you got people buying your fights, that's where the big
Let me
money
say,
comes from?
that's like being a salesman. You like being a salesman and saying you don't care if the company makes money. Like I'm a salesman. I work for a company, but I don't care if they make money. Andre Ward, that is a stupid. I mean, I don't mean that. I like Andre Ward, but bro, that's a character issue right there. That's a character issue right there. Like your character shows in the way that you. My personal opinion is business really brings out your true personality, bro. Because the shit that you'll do because in business there's money on the line. What you will and won't do in business says a lot about you personally, bro. If you're somebody that does not care that somebody you're doing business with makes out well, bro, that's a level of selfishness, bro, that is gonna manifest itself somewhere else in your life, bro. So, like, I just don't.
Yeah,
Everybody
and
thinks
Hey,
that
real.
it's like you got to rip somebody off every single solitary transaction. Like it's like you're not thinking about it as a relationship. You're thinking about it as a transaction, you know? And I got to put you on mute a second. So if you think about business and just a transaction, and you try to get over on every transaction, you're never going to have a relationship. Like, for example, when I drink these little, like dollar, I drink like little dollar airplane shots. So sometimes when I go in, I always go to the same place and I'll pay in cash, right? Because I don't like paying in my card. I want to pay in cash. When this guy owns a store. When I do, even though I'm buying something that say it costs $6 and I give him $7, I let him keep the change. Every time I'll be like, keep the change. And then one time I walked in there and I was like, oh, I forgot. I didn't have enough cash. I was like, oh, let me go back to the car and I'm going to get some change. He said, don't worry about it. You're good. Here. And then he gave me an extra one. Right. So it's like That was not it. Now, you may just look at that as transaction for transaction, right? Like I overpaid him on a transaction. No, that was me telling him, look, I invest in your business. I know that it's important that you guys make money. Take this change. The same way I would give a waitress or somebody else the change, I gave him the change. These people start knowing exactly what I want when I come in. They start telling me things like, oh, you can get a better value if you do this or you do that. I'm telling you, bro, it really does pay to pay attention to the relationship and not just do everything on a transaction by transaction basis. Sometimes your person may be a little bit on the outs. Sometimes you may get a little better deal. Sometimes they get a better deal, you know? But like, for example, look at Nico Ali Walsh and the relationship Muhammad Ali had with Bob Arum. His grandson is still eating off that. Like Nico Ali Walsh is getting fights and is getting paydays from Bob Arum because of the relationship that his grandfather had with Bob Arum. You know what I mean? Like, think when you young folk are doing business and you're making decisions, think about the relationship. That's one thing that those guys in the PBC got right. You can say what you want about Gervonta. Gervonta switched trainers and is still paying Kenny and Calvin. He left Floyd Mayweather Jr., stayed loyal to Al Haymon. Errol Spence Jr. and these guys, you don't see these guys fighting because they got a bunch of money because they stayed loyal to Al Haymon. They weren't thinking about it on a transaction by transaction basis. You guys have a basis. Andre, what you said basically means you have a basic distrust in people. In order to build a long-term relationship with somebody where it's give and take, you got to have trust. And if you're just trying to get over on the first deal, get over on the second, you can't build any trust, bro. And no joke, bro, that's probably why Tim Bradley kept his job longer than you did. Just saying.
Hey, real quick.
Yes, sir.
First of all, good morning, everybody on the chat. This is Jameson. I wanted to get everybody's opinion on the panel, and I was hoping to catch 2 cents before she jumped off. This whole thing about Boots, quote unquote, breaking code by sparring with Canelo. Terence Crawford fans are the last people on earth who should be making that argument because, for one, wasn't Bud the one who said in front of mixed company, no less, why would I market myself to black people when I know they're going to support me anyway? Wasn't Bud the one who insinuated that Errol and Al Haymon have some kind of weird sexual relationship with each other, which breaks so many codes beyond just being black, but as men specifically? And wasn't Bud the one who repaid Errol Spence, who helped turn him into a mega star, quote unquote? Didn't Bud repay Errol Spence, who made concessions against his own advisors and management teams to get him to fight? Didn't he repay that black man and break code by shouting out fucking Ricky Burns as his signature win? So if Boots is breaking code, if it's that arbitrary, then Bud has been doing this shit for years. So I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on that.
That's what I said earlier, James. An excellent point. And not even Errol. Isn't Sean Porter like his best friend in boxing? And he didn't mention the Sean Porter win at all. And he's talking about Ricky Burns and who's that Ukrainian guy who wasn't even all that good. He didn't even make the Olympic team for Ukraine. Victor Postal. And Canelo laughed at him. He said, Victor Postal, I got the guy in my gym who beat Victor Postal easy. Victor Postal nobody. Ricky Burns. And he looks like a fool on these interviews saying that Ricky Burns is elite. Ricky Burns who ducked AB. Don't forget that. Ricky Burns wanted nothing to do with the prompt. When AB was running through people and going like a knife through butter against people, Ricky Burns wanted nothing to do with that prime AB because he saw what his countryman, Gavin Reese, who had the balls to step in the ring, got with AB. So I want to get your thoughts on that counterpoint because Sean Porter was supposed to be his best friend. He didn't even mention that fight.
Well, let me not give a point. Let me give my thing on Jameson to Jameson real quick. Okay. Jameson, that whole thing about being on code. Mm-hmm. The reason that people say the phrase that we need to be on code is because of a man named Neely Fuller Jr.
The book you wrote, right?
Yeah, he wrote the United Compensatory Code Concept System for Thought, Speech, and Actions, and people referred to it as the Black Code. It's the code, the Black Code. And what he taught was that you have to have a code of behavior. If you don't have a code of behavior, you are going to lead yourself into all kind of traps that are out there in the world of white supremacy. So what it is you're supposed to develop your own code of conduct, things that you do, things that you don't do, right? But you have to develop your own. The only thing that's consistent, and I've actually understand this code, unlike the yap mouth motherfuckers that be talking about it. The only thing that you have to do, only requirement in the black code is that you do not mistreat someone else. That's the whole fucking thing. Do not mistreat someone else and be constructive in everything you do, you say, and you think. My problem over the last year is I've not been constructive in everything that I've said. Right? So I have suffered a little bit this year because I've allowed myself to be a little less constructive because I went at some people. Right? So I get hurt a little bit. They get hurt a lot. I got off code. I got off code because I was saying things that were not constructive. So now I have to pull myself back on code. I don't need to mistreat anybody, and I need to make sure what I say, think, and do are all constructive. They have some other code. Their code is completely fucking perverted. Their code is do what I tell you to do, nigga. That's their fucking code. Because they switch depending on what topic they want to tell you exactly what to do. The code doesn't tell you what to do. It tells you what not to do. It tells you not to mistreat someone for any reason. And if you do not mistreat someone, the mistreatment is the problem. So if black people don't mistreat each other, then we are going to get along as well as we can possibly get along, because we're always going to have countervailing interests. Like, I want to win a boxing match. Gervonta wants to win a boxing match. Terence wants to win a boxing match, right? So what do you do to stay on code? Terence cannot mistreat Gervonta, and Gervonta can't mistreat Bud. So say, for example, Bud wanted to go, and this is completely hypothetical. Say Bud wanted to go to Victor Conte, get some sneaky shit, and blow up 20 fucking pounds of muscle inside of 2 years. Guess what that is? It's off code. It's mistreating somebody. It's off code. If you should say, Bud, that you're negotiating with somebody in a deal, and you don't tell him you're negotiating for a deal with David Avenishan, he thinks that you're honestly going to take the fight, but you're not telling him the truth. You've already got something else going on. You're just stringing him out. Guess what you did, Bud? You went off code. You mistreated him. And guess what? It doesn't matter if you mistreat a black person or a white person. The code says don't mistreat someone. Doesn't matter if it's a woman, white boy, Indian. You're off code if you mistreat somebody. Why? Because you're feeding into the stereotypes of black Americans, lazy, thieving, all of that. And you're not going to force the system of white supremacy to react to your constructive behaviors, your constructive thoughts. And you won't be able, and if we stayed on code, there's no way Steve Kim would be calling himself the boxing's Thomas Sewell, which is just as big a fucking insult as any. He might as well be calling people niggas, because he's like, I'm the one smart nigga in the room. Because that's what people think about Thomas Sewell. Super conservative economist. Don't really understand his thinking. Never really invested what he talks about. I just know who Thomas Sewell is. My brother's a big fan of Thomas Sewell. He's a conservative, right? And honestly, against like liberal politics and all of that stuff. But still, it's an insult for him to call himself the Thomas Sewell. That dude is hyper focused on black people, and he doesn't like black people. And he behaves as if he's a buffer between the two. But anyway, as far as any conversation about being on code and off code, when you lie about Errol Spence Jr., you're off code. You're off code. As soon as you lie about Gervonta Davis, you say he's retiring. You put his mug shots up for some shit that he didn't even wind up not even getting charged with. You put up mug shots of the guy for a charge that got dropped. And you still talk about it like he got convicted. That's called mistreating somebody. What you guys do to me is mistreating me. I'm black. You guys have concerted efforts. Go around telling people not to talk to me. Be careful of the company you keep. That's what these people do to me. and I'm black. How the fuck are you not mistreating me when you don't let me have my own opinion and you sneak around trying to gaslight and break me down? You guys are so off code, it's ridiculous. You niggas are barely literate. You probably didn't even read the code. So that's my thoughts about the code, because I fully understand what Neely Fuller Jr. said about being on code. There's also other codes that you have. You have love, honesty, and respect. You treat people with love, honesty, and respect. If it's not loving, if it's not respectful, if it's not honorable, you don't do it, right? Brotherhood, fraternity, all kind of shit that you've got, principles that you, for your code. But it all has to resolve around not mistreating another person. Because when you put mistreatment out, you throw the universe off. And you are purposely hurting other people. And black people, if we are going to be a group of people that are respectful, you know, hey man, we might want to get rid of the whole idea that we're just naturally violent with each other, that we're always killing each other. When the fact of the matter is, we don't kill each other any more than anybody else kills each other when they live right next to each other. You know, anyway, Neely Fuller Jr. says, what he says is also to minimize conflict, minimize contact. So what he says really is, you shouldn't even be talking to most black folk unless you guys are accomplishing something. If you're just sitting there talking to shit and just talking to shit for long periods of time and you're not trying to accomplish something, some unconstructive shit is going to come up out of that. So you guys don't know the fucking code, or those guys don't know the code. They just know that there is a code, and they use the concept of a code to manipulate you. Similarly to the way that when I talk about things like intentional infliction of emotional distress, Bill Haney's dumbass listens to me. Then he goes, hires a lawyer, and files a case against his granddaughter's baby. Can probably convince his son to sue that woman. Who has any respect for Devin Haney doing that shit? Who has? That's not on code, bro. You're not supposed to be kicking pregnant women and knocking them down. Gervonta be off code. Gervonta's not supposed to snatch that girl up like that. But just because Gervonta was off code, that don't mean Gervonta can't get back on code, and he can't learn to not mistreat her. Same way that Devin can learn not to mistreat people. But it's only going to happen if you guys understand what the code really is. And the code is built on not mistreating people at its essence. Because if you do that, then how can you really ever go wrong? Right? It's tough to go wrong. You have to get mistreated by somebody else for it to go wrong. But if you do the mistreatment, karma is going to bring that back around. Anyway, all the bitter baby dads cheering them on, Martin. You know what? They some softies. Come on, what's your take on that?
I think it's great. I don't really have anything to add for now because you and Jameson, two great minds. I know 2 Cents and Phoenix hopped off, another 2 great minds. It's just all hypocrisy. It's one-way code stuff. It's one-way loyalty because when Terence Z-side Crawford insults Boots and says he's nobody, he ducked me, lies and gaslights about Boots allegedly ducking him. When he says, I'll never fight the guy, what's in it for me if I fight the guy? Nobody says Crawford needs to be on code. So again, Crawford is an odd hill to die on. This is not a Medgar Evers. This is not a W.E.B. Du Bois. This is not a Booker T. Washington. This is not a Frederick Douglass. This is, people forget that he mistreated, and again, Jameson brought it up. He mistreated Errol Spence. He talked about him and Al having some kind of weird sexual relationship. He told Al, I need to see the receipts, the black man, if we're talking about black and stuff like that, but he didn't say that to the Arab man in Turkey. I need to see the receipts before I'm going to agree to fight you. He didn't say that to Top Rank. I need to see the receipts. He had all these weird demands.
Man, Michael Jackson didn't say that to Al Heyman.
Whitney Houston didn't say that to Al Heyman.
Drake didn't say it to Al Heyman.
I mean, these are icons. These are icons beyond being stars. But Terence Crawford needs to see it from Al Heyman, but he doesn't need to see it from the short, portly Saudi Arabian dude with the glasses. He doesn't need to see it from Bob Arum, the white dude from New York. But he needs to see it from Al Heyman. Again, you guys die on some weird hills. But again, the code stuff, the pro-black stuff, that is a one-way ticket. because Bill Haney can go up there and call Gervonta Davis a monkey at the Dubai Zoo or the Abu Dhabi Zoo, and nobody says anything about being on code. You guys can share mugshots of Gervonta Tank Davis, and slam him for having a perm in his hair. You could share videos of him dancing to music and make fun of him and laugh at him for anything that happens when his name comes in the news for supposedly bad things and trash the guy nonstop. But when Devin Haney toots all over the ring and has his booty, 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 booty rocket everywhere, booty, 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 he does the Bubba Sparks in the ring, and people are laughing, you guys have a problem with it. When Devin Haney and Bill Haney impugn the character of Subriel Matias, of Mr. Gary Russell Jr., of Tank Davis, of Richardson Hitchens, 99% of the beefs that the Haney camp has had have not been with white boys or Latino boys. It's been with black boys. They have a crab in the barrel mentality about other black fighters. They insinuate that Brian Norman Jr. is juiced up, is doped up. Nobody else is even talking about Brian Norman Jr. being doped up. But you insinuate that and you put language in the contract to change the contract later on. What's wrong with more drug testing, champ? Aren't you trying to be? Come on, man. This guy is the biggest. The Haney camp is the biggest snake oil salesman and carnival barkers. And literally, Devin's knocking out, or trying to knock out, I should say, trying to knock out civilian carnival carnies at the Orange County Fair. Okay, so you guys have one standard for me and another standard for thee. So that's why I don't get caught up in all that. Boots got great work. There's nothing wrong with Boots going and working with Canelo. He got great knowledge from working with Canelo. He's not responsible, and I'm the one that exclusively on Fanaz's channel called for FBI Director Kash Patel. I called on from ICE Director Tom Homan. I called on Christy Nome, Homeland Security Chief, to go and investigate Eddie Cartel Reynoso's gym. I've been one on here on, nobody's been on YouTube, guest panelist, YouTube content creator that's been harder on Canelo and Eddie Cartel Reynoso's gym for drug cheating than me, period. You cannot find anybody on that, on my level doing that. But Boots is not responsible for what's going on in terms of Eddie Cartel Reynoso and his fighters being doped up. Boots got great work fighting with Canelo. He gained knowledge fighting with Canelo. You can criticize Boots for re-signing with Eddie Hearn. I have to no end. But you cannot criticize Boots for going in there and working with Canelo. And again, Canelo knows Bozy. Canelo's flown to Philadelphia personally, I can reveal on this channel, to work with the Boots camp and to work with Boots' older brother. He has great respect for the Ennis family. Okay, so this stuff, you guys are just haters. You guys are short-sighted. Again, it's you do this for me and another standard for thee. And I don't respect people like that. Period. You owe somebody you deal business with, you talk about respect regardless of the race or gender. Period. That's what you owe to humanity, because we all bleed the same. And if you want to talk about racial justice and this and that, you cannot have one standard for your favorite fighter and another standard for others. You cannot support people who use crab in a barrel mentalities to tear down other black fighters. 90% of the fighters they tear down are black fighters, whether they're Afro-Puerto Rican in the case of Subriel Matias. Because Fanon and Jameson, you do a DNA test on Subriel, it's going to come out 99% African. Subriel's more black than a lot of people in the United States.
I just want to make it real clear and real shortly quick. These narratives that these guys are pushing are coming from white people. They're not coming from black people. They're coming from white people. That's why I say you always got to, the buck is going to stop with the fat white man. White people know full well to hire black people to talk to black people. They know full well to hire Asians to talk to Asians. But white people in America, because we have had a lot of racism here, know full well how to deflect. They know that they can't come with it directly, so they come with it through black people. That's what they do. So when you hear certain people, and I'm going to try my best not to say their names anymore, they are getting paid by white people. They are told to dress this way. act this way. Try to appeal to these people. Try to counteract these people. Coach Malachi is not coming up with the things he's saying or he's thinking. He's getting that shit from a white man. The only thing he's doing is putting his own personal comedic spin on it because he's a fucking comedian actor. Same thing with the guy's showbiz. Everything that he said is coming from some fucking body else who is more than likely white. But he was told to dress and act in a certain way so that he can be the crossover Negro. Okay, that's the way that I see that. These guys they are PR people, they are actors. And the people that are behind a lot of these messages are guys like Steve Kim and guys like Dougie Fisher. But those guys ultimately you're gonna find a fat, rich white man somewhere there that wants something done. And I'm telling you, one of the main things that very powerful white people in America do not want. They do not want the rise of a black messiah. They don't want that. They do not want someone to stand as tall as a Muhammad Ali. You don't want somebody in the United States to have 15, 20 million black people following you and believing in you. And they don't care if it's it's okay if it's basketball because they're making all the money. But if it's boxing, that's an individual, one person with that much power. In the United States of America, they don't like to see that. And it has been shown time and time with every major black boxer in the history of the sport has been attacked in that way, save maybe Sugar Ray Leonard. But from Jack Johnson to Joe Louis to Muhammad Ali to Mike Tyson to Floyd Mayweather to Gervonta Davis, the one thing is made consistent. The white power structure who runs that media do not want one of them to pop out the top and be able to do whatever they want, because that is what happened to Muhammad Ali. Please understand that everything Turki al-Sheikh is trying to undermine is what Ali built himself. Ali built Top Rank. Ali built Don King. There is no Bob Arum without Muhammad Ali. Specifically, Muhammad Ali hired him. He worked for Muhammad Ali. Don King worked for Muhammad Ali. They were the promoters and they signed up all kind of other fighters and all of that. But Muhammad Ali was the one that was behind the increase of that pay. From the time that Muhammad Ali, and I didn't talk about it in the documentary, but I'll talk about it now. From the time that Muhammad Ali signed what was an amazing contract coming out of the Olympics, he was the first the first athlete to ever have his money put in trust, and for him to be paid a salary. He was not starving from fight to fight, fighting for $15,000 here. No, he had a set salary, and his salary went into a trust, and his trust is something was so big, he probably hasn't touched it to this day. Muhammad Ali, if you listen to what he talked about with business, and he talked in the deals that he cut over there that they don't even talk about in Zaire, the deals that he was able to do in the business he was able to do in the Philippines. Dude, this dude was literally all over the world running boxing. They don't want that again. They don't want a black man to be able to walk in to sit down and talk to and say, I don't know, go sit down with the Taliban. They don't want somebody just to be able to sit down. Okay, we got American hostages in Iran. So hey, let's send Muhammad in there to get them out. Come on, man. They don't want that type of person. And you guys are seeing the downflow of that. There is a real concerted effort for black men not to be at the top. Because when you do that and people aspire to become that, they start getting crazy ideas. When you start seeing black men buying companies and doing this and doing that, that is starting to fuck with the status quo, bro. So they go get other black people and pay them a lot of money because guess what? The people they're paying ain't got no talent. They ain't got no talent. They ain't got no integrity. All they have is the money that the fat, rich white man gives them. That's all they got. So they're going to do what they're told to do because they're a bunch of talentless hacks. Meanwhile, they're going to go at the talented ones that are rising. And just so you know, that is a human characteristic. It's not just black people. If you look at the movie Amadeus Mozart and see what happened to Mozart in Germany with the critics in Germany hating on him because of his talent, you'll see, bro, that this shit is natural to mankind to never want. Do you remember that 48 rules of power? Never outshine your boss. That's a rule. Remember,
Yep.
never.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali outshined all of his masters. Gervonta Davis is outshining his masters. He is. He's outshining his masters. What he can do is look at Turki Al-Sheikh, a billionaire warlord, and tell him, buy me some Ferraris or fuck off. Dog, everybody is supposed to be groveling at the feet of that Saudi royal connected person. But Gervonta said, fuck off. Bro, that engenders a lot of hate for a black man to be able to do that. We're supposed to stay in our place. Do you remember when LeBron James put his hands on Queen Elizabeth? Like put his hands on her?
Yeah.
Pierce Morgan went fucking nuts. Pierce Morgan's went nuts. Like, how'd you dare you touch my queen? You're not supposed to touch their queen unless you got gloves on your hand. That's why she touches you with gloves on her hand. Because she's royal. She's an emissary of God. He's not that nigga. I don't care how much money that nigga got. He ain't supposed to be able to put his hands on the queen. I was at a party with French royalty. It was in DC. Definitely French royalty, descended from French royalty. This dude looked like fucking Napoleon, bro. I don't know how much his goddamn suit was worth, but the shit looked like it was made of like, I don't know what that shit was made of. It just looked like money pouring off this dude. I literally had to ask him. It's like, man, would you mind if I touch your material? Like, you can't just touch somebody that's royal. They have to ask you for that. You have to ask them to do that. So I say, can I touch that? He was like, yeah. I was like, God dang, that shit is crazy. But no, man, they don't want that. They don't want that. They want black people that they can control. And the number one black person you control is a coon. That is one that is going to goof around. And anytime they act like they got some sense, like Dave Chappelle turning down $50 million. Boy, who are you to turn down $50 million? That's the price we set for you. If you, by the time you leave this room, everybody in the country is going to think you're crazy. Right? Boom. Everybody thought he was crazy before he got to Africa. Come on, man. You know who this is. You know who these people are. Ali stood against those people when he joined the Nation of Islam. They wanted to ruin this man and ruin everything associated with this man. If Muhammad, can you imagine if Muhammad Ali had the freedom when he was boxing to take his $5 million and give it to Sesi Mobutu for in exchange for some mineral rights? Go to Nigeria and get access to ports in Nigeria. Go to the Philippines and get access to raw materials in the Philippines. To invest his money in those nations, he would have been the richest man in the world. Easily there was a path for him to be the richest man in the world because he's way bigger than everybody else in the world. They have to shut that down. They have to shut that down.
They didn't want another potential Mansa Musa.
Yeah, you can't because it's there. It's there. And it's gonna, those Africans got so much goddamn money, bro, in their raw materials. It's unreal. So no, they do. They have. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, come on. You're educated on this issue. Go ahead, man.
Well, not only do the Africans see, this is where Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, was Zaire before what Fanon's referencing when Mobutu Sese Sissoko. This is how rich, and this is why Layla didn't need Clarissa's $15 million when she quoted that, is because
Not
of
to cut
even.
you off, Kamal, my bad. I got to jump off to a meeting. I'm gonna be in the background though, but appreciate y'all letting me jump on, man. But keep cooking, Kamal.
For sure, bro. Get back.
Y'all, it's not
Yes,
me.
sir.
It's Fanon's show. It's Fanon's show. Always a pleasure, Jameson. I didn't do
Wow.
anything. It's your show, Fanon.
I give you nah, bro. You got official You got official co-host privileges, man.
Thank you.
Seriously, bro. You keep me up to date on the news, bro. I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm gonna watch everything Kamal sends me, man. You keep me up to date like a champ, bro. So hell no, man. I definitely give you and Phoenix and 2 Cent all co-host privileges on this channel, bro. For real.
Once again, Big Dog Willie's proven how Tank is the face of boxing. He's up there in Cancun where he could be smashing. He could be talking to ladies. He's talking about Tank and Jake, man. He just broke the internet.
Big Dog Willie said, once again, I told you so. Jake versus Tank. Jake Paul versus Tank. Facts. You did.
No, but I was saying that not only is Africa wealthy, and I'm talking mainly about sub-Saharan Africa, because when you go to Africa, as I've been to Saharan Africa, I went to Egypt. You go to sub-Saharan Africa. I haven't gone to sub-Saharan Africa though. My mom has. But if you go to sub-Saharan Africa, it's a totally different world. And the people that are in Saharan Africa, in the Arab part, they actually think they're better than the black Africans. If you go to Africa, and you know that. Actually, if you guys want to see something in the news to follow up what I'm saying, Netflix did I don't know if did you know about the Netflix Cleopatra series they did, Fanon? I
Oh,
think
when they cut her as black and they got pissed. Is that the one?
yes, the Egyptians were so pissed because Netflix, rightfully so, depicted Cleopatra as a black woman, that they sued Netflix because they did not pretend her or make her as an Arab or a white woman. They would have been fine if it was a white woman, but they really wanted her as an Arab woman. And so they sued Netflix. They said all these horrible things. How could you just portray is the verb I'm looking for, Cleopatra as a black woman? Well, if you go to the pyramids and you see the depiction of the hieroglyphics and the pharaohs, they don't look Arabic, because most of the modern day Egyptians, most of these people that are in Tunisia now, that are in Morocco now, that are in North Africa, Algeria, these are people who are descended from conquistadors who came from what is now Saudi Arabia and Yemen. The original people in North Africa are like the rest of the people in Africa. They're black. The Egyptians who built the pyramids are not the modern day Egyptians who've imported an Arabic culture into Northern Africa. The original Egyptians are people like me and you, Fanon. They're black people. So you go, if you have the privilege of visiting the pyramids and visiting Egypt like I did, and see the depictions of the actual Egyptians at the time that are wonderfully preserved, they are not of Arab people. They are of black people, which is what the Egyptians were. So to go on to the point that you were making, Fanon,
I'm gonna show you
Africa.
something. Let me give you something. Oh, hold on one second. I'm listening. Give me something. I want to grab something so I can show you something. Go ahead.
Okay, so to go on to Fanon's point about how wealthy Muhammad Ali and his family is, and how I wasn't the biggest fan of how Muhammad Ali, because I think he went over the line with Joe Frazier, and specifically in that interaction, I thought that was highly inappropriate. Even, I get the rivalry, but I thought it was highly inappropriate. I didn't necessarily like that, but I recognize the figure that he is and how transformational he is, even having died years ago, and how wealthy he is. Democratic Republic of Congo is a country that is in South Central Africa. It is the size of continental Western Europe. It is that big. It's got everything you need in the world, to include diamonds, to include gold, to include bauxite, to include everything, the current mineral wealth you need, but it also is the leading producer of lithium and uranium and the things we need for the future, the so-called green energy. DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, had two of the world wars. They are the African world wars, Fanon, where Mobutu was overthrown by Kabila. And it was a country where the armies of Africa, at least 10 of them, on either side, both times, contested in Democratic Republic of Congo for its mineral wealth, both for the current mineral wealth in terms of the diamonds and the gold and stuff like that, where they have the diamond mines and they have kids working in there and stuff like that. And then also for the future access to the lithium, to the uranium. Why is uranium important? Because it's nuclear weapons. Why is lithium important? Because it's in all these Teslas and all these future cars and stuff, this future green energy that people want to hype up more so than regular energy. If you guys do your research, jabronis, that's all in Africa. That's all in sub-Saharan Africa. That's the real Africa. That's where if you guys even study Rome, people will lie and cap on Rome to this day, Fanon. They will tell you that Rome fell because they became less diverse. That is not true. They fell because they became more diverse. Where was the heart of Rome? It was in Southern Europe and Africa. Its prized possessions were in Carthage, modern day Tunisia, not the Tunisia where they are Arabic and they speak Arabic and they look down on black people, and their president has says we don't need all these black people trying to change our Islamic country and our Arabic language. And they actually, you guys, if you do your research, they actually not ship, excuse me, they bus black people to the borders of Tunisia, black people from other African countries, bust them to the border of Tunisia in the south, in the Saharan desert, and drop them off and say, you guys walk back. We don't want black people in our country. The Carthage, that was one of the foundations of the Roman Republic, when Rome was at its height, was in Carthage, Tunisia, when that area was populated by blacks, what we know as sub-Saharan Africans now, because that whole area of Africa was populated by what we now know as black people, not these Arabs that think they're better than blacks. That are the most racist. That's why when you people have these free Palestine bullshit shirts, you guys don't even know what's going on there. Congo has had over 10 million people killed since 2010. Over 10 million people are being killed in the Congo. Which same country that I'm talking about should be the wealthiest country in the world, Fanon. Over 10 million people have been killed in Congo and are still being killed today. Sudan has had over half of its population of over 25 million people are refugees in Sudan, black people. But it doesn't make the news because corporate media doesn't want to talk about it because they're in bed with the Arabs. Because now you guys think Trump and these people in the European Union are the most wealthy and the most powerful people. They're not. Who's the most powerful man in the world? It is Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. It is Xi in China. Who does the NBA bow down to? I don't even follow the NBA anymore, Fanon. Why? Because they are a slave of the Chinese Communist Party. If you say anything against China, LeBron, who thinks he's an activist, he's not an activist. LeBron, what did Jim Brown say? He said you can't be wealthy and an activist at the same time. Said something to that effect. I'm butchering it. Sorry to the late, great Jim Brown. That was a true
Hey, real
character.
quick. Look, I got these from Egypt.
My man, you went to Egypt too?
No. My family did. My mother went. My father went. My sisters went. All of that. I
highly recommend you go. I highly recommend you go.
Yeah. I know I need to go, man. I need to get out there.
I highly recommend you go because they try to discredit us as black people. The Egyptians, who are Arabs,
we're straight. I'm telling you straight up, Kamal. My mother's straight from Greek, and they were black. That came from Egypt.
Yes.
She don't say anything about that shit, but my mother, without a doubt, her family, they are descended from Egyptians for sure. Look just like them. My mama looked just like you. Look at my mama. My mama's earlobes and nose. She looked just like them things, just like them. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. A lot of black people that came from America. This is my personal belief. A lot of black people that were in Egypt migrated thousands of years ago to the Western Hemisphere, because they were really like anyway. That's just my hypothesis from the migrations of. There's a guy, Chancellor Williams, that talked about the destruction of black civilization and said that understanding everything about black people is to understand migration patterns, and basically like that they were all black Africans up there, but as Arabs came in, blacks moved to different places. So they wound up a lot of times where they took areas over because the population, when they came in aggressively, just kept moving because they were never really they were not as set in one place. Similar to the United States, where people think that, these different, groups of Native Americans, right, were always on at one point and lived in one place. When the truth is that they would go from Chicago down to New Orleans, depending on the seasons, and have different places where they lived and set towns where they lived, regardless. So, I mean, yeah, it's all interesting stuff, man, especially when you see all of the pyramids and all of the same archaeology that's in the Western Hemisphere that is in Egypt as well. So, yeah,
and
man.
You see stuff that's made in China, made 2 weeks ago, it falls apart. How brave, how ingenuitive, how brilliant were the Egyptians thousands of years ago in the sand? When you go and you walk in the pyramids, as I have, Fanon, when you go to the Egyptian National Museum, when you see these things up close and personal, when you see this, you see how brilliant the Egyptians were to have made stuff thousands of years ago in the hot sun in a region where temperatures rise well over 100 degrees in the sand and it's preserved. And you and I go to Walmart, we buy most stuff now because all of our manufacturing is in China, and it falls apart after 2 weeks. And it's in air-conditioned warehouses. You know, that's how brilliant the Africans were. The Africans still are. But the people don't follow this phenomenon because
Man, them
again,
Africans are smart as shit, bro. God.
these people think, and you guys don't even, you can't see the forest from the trees. You guys think of the white man, the black man, this and that. There's stuff that goes beyond that. The most powerful man in the world is Mohammed bin Salman. Putin kisses his ring. Trump, that was his first visit, was to Saudi Arabia and into the Middle East. Okay, the G is more powerful than Trump at this point now. So it's beyond being black and white. It's the NBA. If the NBA general manager a few years ago criticized the Democratic crackdown on Hong Kong, and LeBron told the NBA general manager, Houston's Daryl Morey, to shut up. He doesn't know about what's going on in the world. That's what LeBron said. His own version of shut up and dribble. I don't know if you remember that controversy where somebody told.
Real quick, before you do, hold on. Gary said, salute Fanon. You always speaking the truth and teaching. Salute to Kamal Oz. He definitely should be your official co-host. He's always does a great job. Hell yeah, man. He's terrific, bro. And he's not bought and paid for. Just fucking marvelous. And Barbara D says, hold on one second.
Barbara D said something.
Says, Kamal Oz is a plethora of information like the encyclopedia. Amazing. Yeah, man. He knows his international politics and history. It's awesome. And seriously, that's why I would say I think this is the case because, you know, I'm familiar with history to a degree, but man, I definitely got to understand more about world politics, man. You're really, really sharp on international relations.
Thank you.
But go ahead. Come on.
Thank you. So a few years ago, I don't know if you followed this in the news, China, when Hong Kong was turned over by the British after a 100-year lease, basically, to China, it was turned over on the condition that China would have two systems. One system for mainland China, which is repressive communist dictatorship, what we know of China is. And then one system for Hong Kong, which had been used to a form of democracy under the British. Well, the agreement when the British agreed to finally turn it over under that 99 or 100-year lease, whatever it was that China would maintain that system. China went against that system and they started to crack down. And now Hong Kong doesn't have this system. It's directly controlled by China. And so when they were cracking down before it's been completely taken over, there were a lot of protests in Hong Kong and it was making the international news. If you watch the news, you probably saw this was years ago. Particularly, there were people with umbrellas, like young people who would go out with umbrellas. Anybody who had an umbrella was known as being for democracy. And the Chinese, you remember that? Do you remember that, Fanon?
Is that Kamal?
Fanon, you froze. Do you remember that?
Yeah. That was me. Yeah, go ahead, man.
So the Chinese sent the triad. If you guys know gangs and stuff, you know Asian Pride in California, where I'm from. The Crips and the Bloods, all these other gangs, they're nothing like Asian Pride. Nobody messes with the Asians in California. I'll tell you, the Asians have connections way back. They go to the triad. No, I'm serious. People want to,
bro. Let me tell you.
Hollywood, they want to constantly portray black gangsters as the worst. The Asians, nobody messes with them.
Bro,
you seen that Clint Eastwood movie?
Listen to me.
Okay, go ahead. My bad.
Dog, that's where when I went to LA, that's where I stayed in Chinatown. Because I knew if I go to Chinatown, I got people in Chinatown. We know Chinatown in LA. That shit is like, dog, that shit is like its own country, Chinatown in LA. Hell yeah. I know about the triad. I know that. That's why the fuck I stayed there. When I was in Hapkido, Gaidu Chang and those like 7th and 8th and 10 Dan black belts. Yeah, I got cool with them. I got cool with their family. We used to have a lot. We had them in Chicago because they don't have the presence, and it's Asian because these people are Korean. So they got Koreans, they got Chinese, they got all kind of real cool with them, man. And yeah, they do not fuck around in Chinatown. That's when I went to LA, I stayed in Chinatown because nobody's gonna come into Chinatown. Because if you fuck around in Chinatown, dude, they'll eat you in Chinatown or some shit. Seriously, man. That's a wild ass place, man. And I loved it. I bought a Buddha in Chinatown. Yeah, they got Chinatown and DC ain't no joke. I'm real cool with the guys that own the hey, by the way, rest in peace, John Bowie. I got to take a 5 count now that we're talking about that for a second. I got to say rest in peace, John Bowie.
10 count, John Huey.
Yeah, John Bowie is big time, bro. But yeah, go ahead. John Bowie was big time, bro. He's big time, dog. He owned
I,
like half of fucking Dallas. He owned like half of Dallas. You
I
know?
love John Bowie, man. I miss that
Yeah,
guy, man. He
no,
was dropping
badass
super
dude.
chats. I wish I had the money that he did for now so I could support the show like he
Oh no,
did,
you
man.
good, man. We working. It's all good, man. And you know what it is? It's ups and downs, ups and downs. When there's something hot to talk about one of these days, y'all been blessing me so much, bro. I'm just happy to be here talking to you. I appreciate you. Seriously. It's a blessing in my life to be able to be positive. And you keep the conversation so intelligent. It honestly challenges me, man, to make sure I'm on my shit. But go ahead, come on.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I was in California, when I lived in California years ago, like the Bloods and the Crips, and even what's now in California, a lot of skinheads and the biker gangs, nobody messed with the Asian pride. Clint Eastwood had that movie where he said, "Get off my lawn," where he was confronting Asian gangs in his area. And that's something that doesn't get reported much because a lot of the media, again, it's corrupt media, it's biased media. They're not telling you about Congo. They're not telling you about the real genocide and the famine in Sudan, where half the population is starving and is being moved, and they're literally shelling and having airstrikes in residential areas. So these are the world's worst crises. European countries aren't talking about it. America's not delivering aid there. These are places 100 times, 1,000 times worse than Gaza. But yet, Black people are not talking about this. When Rome really fell apart, Fanon, is when it went northward into northern Europe. If you've seen Gladiators, they had a Germanic tribe that was beheading people, that was engaging in cannibalism, and that portended to the reality. When Rome started to go to northern Europe, that's when they expanded too much. When their center was southern Europe and what is now northern Africa, that is when they were at their height. Timbuktu is the world's first university. What did corporate media and these jokesters joke about with Timbuktu? They said, "Where are you from? Timbuktu?" Timbuktu was the world's first university in modern day Mali by Black people. It was one of Rome's prized possessions.
The
Carthage.
fact, now that you say that, just so to clarify just a little bit, I'll make a
Mhm.
little slight point on that. That's why they say, man, you got to go to Timbuktu. Because like again, bro, number one, I grew up around these Europeans, dog. The way they say Timbuktu is it's super fucking far. That's why they always say that. It's like, man, I got to go to fucking Timbuktu. Where you sending me? Timbuktu? Like they travel. That's because Europeans used to travel to Timbuktu.
Yes.
And it would take them a long ass time to get to Timbuktu. So they know Timbuktu, them. And just one thing, just because that gang talk is some of my favorite conversations. Where I was from, they're in Wheaton, they had these Vietnamese dudes. Do not ever in your life fuck with a crew of Vietnamese dudes. My boys was playing basketball, and these Vietnamese dudes used to play basketball. They play basketball like 50 on 50. Like the way they played basketball is crazy. It's like 50 on 50. They have like 30 dudes running around there playing basketball, bro. So anyway, we be on one side, the blacks, and then they be over on the other side because they doing something. But I wasn't there one time, and the little niggas in the neighborhood kicked the Vietnamese kids off. Kicked them off. They were men, by the way, not Vietnamese kids. These are grown ass Vietnamese men. Push these but they little. Push these Vietnamese off. Man, these dudes came back with machetes. One dude lost half a hand. Another one had a machete put in his shoulder. These motherfuckers ran for dear fucking life from them Vietnamese people. They do not fuck around, bro. Like seriously, they don't fuck around. Yeah, I just wanted to put there. Yeah, when you said and them Eastern Europeans don't fuck around. Pretty much you Americans, yeah, they not quite as any group of people that are at war all the damn time. It's tough or came from some major war. They're warped.
Yeah, you don't mess with the Eastern Europeans. But in California, when I was living there, none of the gangs mess with the Asian pride. That none of those mess with the Asian gangs. Those were the most ruthless. So there's a stereotype about Asians being nerdy and about just being good citizens and all this and not getting into crime. I can tell you, being from California originally, you don't mess with the Asian pride. You don't. Those Asian gangs are tough. So going back to the NBA, why I don't watch the NBA, one of the reasons is because people made a big deal about when somebody told LeBron shut up and dribble when he was talking politics. Well, whenever China was cracking down on Hong Kong, when the people were protesting for democracy, The Rockets general manager, I think he was a general manager at the time, maybe the president or something, the Houston Rockets, he sent out a tweet and he later deleted it. He had to delete it because he said, I stand with the people of Hong Kong who are expressing their hope to maintain their democracy. Something benign to that effect, something really milquetoast. And LeBron came out against him and he said, Daryl Morley needs to shut up because he's not aware of what's really going on. And and when LeBron said that, I was like, what's going on here? And it turns out that the NBA is basically run by the Chinese Communist Party. They've got
Why do you
huge
say that?
because they've got huge because the Chinese Communist Party runs the NBA. They've got huge investments going on in the NBA. You can't say anything against China. It's you got these convenient activists in the NBA that will talk about politics domestically, but Daryl Morley was censored. He was forced, and I'll send you the article about this, Fanon. He was forced. He actually deleted that tweet about Hong Kong. And he, not just LeBron came out against him, a bunch of other people in the NBA said, we disown Daryl Morley. He was basically not even allowed to share his opinion. He said that the NBA commissioner at the time came out against him just for saying something in support of the pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong. So I think he may have lost his job. I don't know what happened with Daryl Morley, but it started with LeBron. Then the NBA commissioner went after him. Then other NBA stars went after him. And if you really research what's going on in NBA and all the money they're getting from China, it's they've been silent on these racist ads. In China, they have racist ads. Just a few years ago, they had a racist ad where they had a black African in front of a washing machine, had him going into a washing machine, and then he comes out of the washing machine as this very fair-skinned, very light-skinned Chinese person. NBA didn't say no NBA justice warriors or social justice warriors said anything about that. During COVID, when we know the origins of COVID came from China, whether it be a wet market or a bio lab, uh, they kicked out Africans from their student housing, African students that had been studying in China. They kicked them out of their housing and forced them on the streets and discriminated against Africans. There was radio silence from the NBA. They had another racist advertisement just a year ago or 2 years ago about black people on a plane that was really derogatory. And I've sent you these articles, Fanon. I'll send them to you.
I definitely saw the washing machine one. I remember that.
The NBA was silent on that because of their business interests.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, that's, again, just to connect that to boxing again, that's why they want basketball to be the #1 sport with black folk. Because when you got those guys on those teams, you can make a guy a star on those teams because that's a team sport. So, yeah, somebody, again, look for the rich, fat white man, too, who got those business deals with the Chinese. So the problem isn't necessarily the Chinese. It's the fact that those people that got the business dealings with the Chinese. Again, that's the fat white man. It's going to be somebody like that that's going to tell LeBron, you got to say this. Oh, LeBron, this is so messed up. And then he's, oh, yeah, that's messed because they sit around and talk politics. I've got a friend of mine up in New York, and I don't really talk politics a lot with people, like a lot, because as you can see, my shit is a little bit, I can get wild with my politics. But basically, like, he has to say that, like, doesn't Israel have the right to defend itself? And I was like, I'm not going to say, because I'm going to avoid the debate, but I was like, man, we can get on MH Blackwell and talk about that, man. I'm telling you, these people want to stay so far away from those topics, because, again, if you see a black man with some money, you're going to know that there's a white man with more money somewhere near him. So that's who, and that's just the structure of what it is. That's why somebody like Gervonta Davis, who doesn't cow-tide, is such a problem. Because these guys, the media is working for the big fat white dude, or in this case, Mohammed bin Salman, if that's the person that's the most powerful or the most protected. Some people say the most powerful. Somebody else said most protected. But if you're the most protected, shit, you're probably the most powerful. Okay? Because I don't know anybody powerful that ain't protected. And your power is related to whether or not somebody can actually prevent you from doing what you want to do. That's a very powerful person. You don't have to control everything in the world to be powerful. As long as no one can really obstruct you from reaching your goals. And it seems to me that this Mohammed bin Salman has the ear of the most protective people in the world. If you want to be protected by somebody, trust me, you want a good relationship with Putin. If you want to be promoted, if you want to be protected, you need to have a very good relationship with China. You also have to have a good, let me put it in a more local sense. In Chicago or in the United States, if I want to walk around freely and not have any little poop butt niggas bug me, it does me a lot of good to be good with the Chinese, because then I can go stay in Chinatown and my homies from Chicago who are Chinese will be like, cool, I know Martin, hey, he's a little worried about what's going on. Can we stay over here in Chinatown and be okay? It also is good if you want to get around to be good with the Mexicans. And it's very important to be good with the black people. Above all things, though, you got to make sure that those U's ain't on your ass. And if those U's are on your ass, then you better make sure you got black people behind you. Because if you don't have black people behind you, you're going to fucking starve. Okay? Because trust me, they don't hold all the capital. They control the capital. There's a difference. So you have the person that is the most protected. It seems to me that Mohammed bin Salman is absolutely, to a degree, no one has absolute immunity, but it damn sure helps to have the U.S. military, the Russian military, the Chinese military, all partnering with you, because that means you ain't running up on him, and he's going to be able to get where he wants to get. Because obviously, no joke, if Mohammed bin Salman was not as powerful as Mohammed bin Salman was, Turkey al-Sheikh would already be in a box. I'll say that. If Mohammed bin Salman was not as powerful as he is, that nigga would be in a box. I promise you. Somebody would have took his fucking head, stuck that shit in some water, and his ass had been gone for fucking with people's money. So yeah, obviously he's very protected. But again, to Kamal's point, protection is power. That's why I say a lot of times, bro, you guys can yap, but you're not going to touch me. That allows me to go wherever I want to go in a local sense, in a national sense. And yeah, on the international stage, it's good to be Putin. You know what I mean? Because guess what, Putin, one of the main reasons that, and you can comment on this, Camille, one of the main reasons is that he don't have no term limits. Mohammed bin Salman going to be there till he's dead. Putin's probably going to be there till he's close to dead. I think he may lose an election in his 80s or something, and somebody will come back in. Also, the structure of how their government is, the consistency in which a monarchy exists is its great power. The monarch is there because he's a monarch. So and guess what? His kid's gonna be that one too. Facts. LeBron is manufactured, bought, and paid for. Super puppet. Super puppet. He's definitely not an activist. He helped destroy the NBA. Look, he just sold out real early. He sold out very, very early. LeBron James was given everything very early. But what's your thoughts on that, Kamal, before we roll out? I appreciate you. And thank you so much, Gary. Appreciate you for that support, bro.
He is. I mean, that last caller was right. So people today, the average LeBron fan's like a Z-Side Bud fan, born in 1998 or later, needs chapstick, needs a lotion. I mean, LeBron is not even top 5 of all time. He's completely manufactured. They were broadcasting his high school games on ESPN. And again, Jim Brown, if you listen to the late great Jim Brown, you want to talk about somebody who really put everything on the line when he lived, who was a true scholar, who was a true global social justice warrior. Look at Jim Brown, and he, in his later life, he really talked about what's become of the NBA. So to roll up and finish up here, Fanon, is that guy Daryl Morley was censored by the NBA. And so the NBA is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. They don't even say anything about these very racist depictions of black people in China, like these racist ads. They didn't say anything that happened to the black students in China in COVID, when their country was the one that was responsible for the dissemination of COVID. And I'm not saying it's either, I don't know if it was the Wuhan lab or if it was the wet market where they were stealing the wet market where they were taking African, these protected animals, these endangered species in Africa that the Chinese use in their herbal medicine. The government, they're supposed to be protected in Africa. The tusks of the elephant and so on, Fanon, that these poachers get. These poachers are not in service of the Europeans. They're in service of China. And so these wet markets in China had these a lot of these African animals just out in the open, selling them and butchering them, and that was not very well protected. And so there's a theory that that's how a lot of the COVID started. From that, there's also the theory, we don't really know, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds of this, but in reality was that the NBA players were completely silent about these very racist depictions in this year. Nothing you'd see in America, mainstream America, but you saw in mainstream China towards blacks. And LeBron basically told this NBA executive, shut up and dribble, when he was told that, and there was all this fake uproar, again, by these same fake racial components. I was hoping.
Hey, you know how I know for sure that shit about LeBron's like that? Because that Rich Paul. There ain't no way in the world that dude should be able to do what he does without a college degree. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. He's writing them contracts and doing those goddamn deals. They're teaching him those deals. It's easy to do deals when people give you deals. When they give you deals. It's easy to do when they give them to you. But what do they mean? You know who fucking pissed me off, bro? If I was man, I don't even want to get into it, man. But I was in a Tyler Perry movie.
Oh,
bro.
wow.
Yeah, with Idris Elba. With what's the name in the
I like Tyler Perry a lot, man. Really inspirational guy.
Man, look, bro, all of these dudes, all of this shit is orchestrated, bro. All of the messages that they're allowed to give, all of that shit is orchestrated. I know the dude that originally sold Tyler Perry to Endeavor, which is now Endeavor, and then Endeavor got behind Tyler Perry, right? I'm not going to get into all of Tyler Perry's business, but suffice it to say, I know that he was going to be a star like that when somebody gave me his DVDs. You know the DVDs? You know DVDs? You remember when people used to sell DVDs?
Yeah,
like
hell yeah.
Tyler Perry sold DVDs out of his trunk. He used to sell DVDs out of his trunk. They sent it to they sent those DVDs to our family. And then he got his deal. And then he got signed by Ari Emanuel's company. Because he took those things and brought that shit to Chicago. And we hooked him up with them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not me directly. I was just around when it happened. But that's how that shit works. That's why I'm telling you, I can almost always find basically Tyler Perry got the support of, he had to get supports in the streets before he could elevate himself to getting the corporate money. So
yeah, he was homeless.
And that's I want to get back to the thing you said about James, about Jim Brown.
Yes, go ahead.
That's the main thing that I took from Jim Brown, is then, in my personal belief, is the necessity to embrace gangs. You've got to embrace. We have to, in order for us to make true progress as a people, we really have to embrace everything that we are and not always criticize what we are and continually try to tell everybody to change. We have the last reservoir of our strength is our poor and disenfranchised people. Because just like the pyramid right here, that's the base of the pyramid, is the poor people. The top, or the one, that is the pinnacle. That is supposed to be like the monarch, right? But the monarch sits upon the top of the base. So each individual, though, is its own individual top of its own individual period, but you will always rely on your family and your people to be your base. So what Jim Brown did, by Jim Brown and Louis Farrakhan and these guys always making sure that they stayed in touch with the gang members in Chicago and LA and New York, in New Orleans and Houston, everywhere. And why that movie was so powerful to me as a kid, the one where they had the Warriors, when they talked about the number of people you have versus the number of police that there are. That's what you have to, that's really what you need. And that's what Jim Brown talked about. And that's why I thought Jim Brown is just such a revolutionary thinker, because during the time of the Black Power and they were that's Black Power. You have to have all of it. You can't just have intellectual power. You also have to have immediate power. You have to have the ability to protect each other. You have to. You can't, if I would never be able to say what I can say if I did not have people around me that prevented these people from walking up and touching me. That's just a fact. And you guys they can make fun of me or not make fun of me about me saying that. But the fact of the matter is you can't just willy-nilly walk up to me, bro. That's important for every person to have in their life, man. That's important for a wife to have from her husband. That's important for husbands to have from their brothers to have from their cousins. That's very important. So there's no coincidence that the Asian gangs in California and in Chicago and in DC are nothing to be played with, because they are most definitely in their structure included in the Communist Party that runs it. They have control. They buy a lot of property. They own a ton of property in America. You cannot do that if somebody can just walk up and snatch your kid out of a building. You can't. That's why we need to protect each other. And I've always and that's the one thing about the Nation of Islam that stands out so significantly, is that is who protected Muhammad Ali and allowed Muhammad Ali to walk around without having to worry about somebody snatching him up and putting him in a car. You know, so it's like Jim Brown, when you brought up Jim Brown, man, because I'm more of a nationalist. I'm a little more suspect on internationalism, just to be honest with you. I believe that all politics is local, and I try to keep my politics as local as I possibly can keep it. And I think that if we keep your money as local as you possibly can keep it, you keep your ambitions as local as you possibly can keep it, that's how your family and your people will stay together. You know what I mean? When I moved to Texas, almost all my family moved here with me. We didn't leave each other, man, because my mother and father would be somewhere in Indiana aging without their family near them, without me to be able to help them when they need their help. You know, so it's just interesting, man. Like, and then of course, you know, if you really think about power within power, you know, like there's certain seeds that exist within certain organizations or within certain cultures or certain bodies of people that are like, you really can't play with. You know what I mean? You really can't play with, and like religious figures. You know, anybody that rises to the level of a religious figure becomes somebody that is, like, I don't know who the most powerful imam is, you know, or who the most powerful, but Jesus. Jesus is still the most powerful man on the planet. You know what I mean?
Well, I disagree with that. You know, they made this black gay woman with a bald head in Hollywood. They're making her the new Jesus in some film or something. They have made Jesus gay. They totally, Jesus is not powerful anymore. People don't fear him in the West. They especially don't fear him. They have stampled on Jesus. There's this black woman, I forgot her name, in Hollywood.
Excuse me, you misunderstand me.
Okay, go ahead.
You misunderstand. Jesus is the Christ. The Christ, or the Christos, is your connection and your understanding of reality. So a religion is what you do and what you truly believe. Capitalism is a religion to certain people. Science is a religion to certain people. It is what you do every day. In Black America, the predominant group of Black people are Christians. So our money is funneled very heavily into churches. Those churches and those preachers have a tremendous amount of power inside of neighborhoods, inside of states, across countries. It's hugely powerful, hugely influential. And it is based off the idea of Jesus. They can bastardize it all they want. The simple fact that they have to do something with him at all proves how influential he is. There's groups of people that if they believe truly that Jesus believes this, they will murder you and your whole family. If somebody believes the Prophet Muhammad is against you, man, you're a fucking dead man. It's just period. And people can make fun of the Prophet Muhammad. They can do what they want. But the difference between Christianity and the Prophet Muhammad is that somebody really going to do something about it. When you're talking about the Prophet Muhammad, with Jesus, They bastardize it, they trip it, they sell it. Still, nothing. Christianity, if Orthodox Christianity, Southern Baptist Christianity, if that is combined in a leader that they believe represents the will of God, there will be no more powerful person on earth. That's why they work so hard to prevent, in that COINTELPRO, the rise of a black messenger. Anybody that can create trust, loyalty, and belief in that man, like Martin Luther King, he's concocted to a large degree, but for a while it was Martin Luther King. He was dang near a religious figure, the way that they were trying to sell him, right? And then they kill him. And then what do they say for years and years after that? What would Martin Luther King say? Martin Luther King believes in nonviolence. Martin Luther King would do this. Martin Luther King would do that. I was inundated with nonviolence and conversations about nonviolence as an alternative to black empowerment my entire youth. So they tried to create, I believe, a Jesus-like Messiah preacher in black America. And you see what that civil rights movement and the power it had as far as pushing liberalism throughout the world. You see how powerful Martin Luther King was. And Martin Luther King is no Jesus. So that's what I mean by that. If you have somebody that has, where people believe with a religious fervor, not a business interest, a religious fervor, one that is dealing with existential reality. Why am I here? They try to call it, scientists try to call it the God gene. That's bullshit. What it is you trying to understand what is your purpose in this world, period. And that's why religion is always the most powerful motive. And they can say it whether or not it's, even with money. People will say, what are you here on earth for? To make money. That's what people think they're on. A lot of people think they're on earth for. To go to work every day, to get money, to buy things, eat things, have fun. That's what they're here for. So what do they worship? They worship money. So therefore, how powerful are people with money in their lives? They're all powerful in their lives. That's why guys like Blue Blood and these guys will do whatever these people tell them to do, because their religion is money and they want money. And if they get money, that means they were good. If they don't have money, that means they were bad. Sometimes it's like, what's your purpose in life? Oh, YouTube videos? Well, if I get a lot of views, I'm good. If I don't get them, I'm bad. But if your life is living in servant of God, then trust me, bro, there's no money, there's no nothing that's going to prevent you from doing what you need to do to service God, because you know that's where your existence comes from. So that's when I'm talking about religion, I'm not talking about it from the religion, the connection between religion and entertainment, or the connection between religion and politics. I'm talking about how an individual human being sees their reality, what the purpose of their reality is, and what their responsibilities are on a day-to-day basis. If you believe that God is money, then that's all you will ever do is look for money, and you will judge your worth on that. But if you do something like, well, it's giving to other people and being a brother and a contributor to other people, and you know if you're not connecting and helping other people that you're not doing God's will, then you're going to start doing those type of things. Does that make sense? Come on.
Yeah, Phenom, man, you hit me deep, man. You took it in a way because your religion could be climate change. Your religion could be money. Your religion could be religion. You like you said, you insult Prophet Muhammad or whatever. People will remember that French newspaper where when they killed those 12 people just because they made a depiction of Muhammad or whatever. Christians, they won't do that. I don't know.
No, Muhammad, look, as powerful a man as Muhammad bin Salam is, he would never insult the Prophet Muhammad.
Well, he
no
can't.
chance.
Well,
He'd be a dead man inside of an hour.
Yeah. I mean, that's where Muhammad is from. He's from modern day Saudi Arabia. I'll end with this, Fanon, because I know you're looking to go. I want a video on that Jake Paul Instagram post, because that reel that I had you play at the beginning of this live stream, it is so powerful. Because Jake Paul G-checked Eddie Hearn, he G-checked Turkey, he G-checked Canelo, because he made Canelo a promise. He said, any event I do this year, I will outdo you. So Jake Paul had to fight with Chavez Jr. He accused Canelo of selling his soul to Turkey so that it's to spite him, because Turkey was going against Jake Paul. And so Canelo went over to Saudi Arabia, in a fight that nobody could see, no one cared about, and put up a doll, an egg against William Skull. Nobody was talking about that fight. Jake fought Chavez Jr. People are still talking about that because Chavez Jr. is now being charged by the Mexican government as being part of the cartel. So that's still in the news, that Chavez Jr. fight. Turkey puts up all this money and tries to create this farcical fight that's basically a little bit above, in terms of, in my opinion, the competitiveness of it, because you had a guy who's basically 147 fighting a guy at 168. And you try to tell me it's the fight of the century. You're trying to build this hype about something. Deontay Wilder once said, what's understood doesn't need to be explained. But Turkey and Canelo and Crawford are doing a lot of explaining for something that's not understood, because it's not a reality. They're trying to create their own reality. So what did Jake Paul and Tank do, Fanon? They created a better reality. They broke the internet. You have the Disney kid, the master promoter, the man who's saving women's boxing, the man who went from a child star, and it's hard no matter what any jabroni say in the chat. It's hard to go from a child star to being a star on a perpetual basis. Very few have maintained that, Fanon. White, black, or indifferent. Jake Paul has it. His brother is in the WWE. The Pauls have the gift of gab. They have the gift of promotion. They have brand deals and all that. You have the young man from Baltimore. And Fanon had a brilliant analogy earlier that I'm going to drop as a metaphor. He had the pyramid. Lift up that pyramid again, Fanon. Because Gervonta was at the base of the pyramid. He was at the bottom of the bottom. He was going through foster care. He was destitute. He was out on the streets. And if he plays his cards right, Fanon, he's going to go into the top tier, not the top of the pyramid, but he's going to go into the top of the pyramid, in that top section, not the very top, but among the top section. With his, if he plays his cards right, that's where I clarify. With his boxing ability, with his business acumen, surrounding himself with Al Heyman and stuff like that, this kid has the chance to be a rocket going into outer space. And this Jake Paul fight is exactly that. So just as Jake Paul told Canelo that he would outperform Canelo, and he made it his personal mission to outperform Canelo in Turkey and G-check them, Gervonta Tank Davis has all these other boxers apoplectic, angry, because he's got a chance to do something that none of them are doing, because none of them could get the call to fight Jake Paul. None of them, all of them would have groveled and kissed Turkey's ring, where Tank said, send me 2 Ferraris and I'll take your call. And people laughed at Tank. They told Tank, you got to go beg Turkey for a payday that all these B-sides are going to beg Turkey for. Shakur's not even an undercard fighter, Fanon. He's an undercard of an undercard fighter. And he's telling Tank what he needs to do. He's telling Tank to go fight my leftovers and fight Edwin De Los Santos when he should be rematching him. Devin Haney's telling Tank what to do. But Tank and Jake G-checked all of you jabronis. And like it or hate it, this fight, this event has broken the internet. It has broken sports entertainment. It has broken the cultural barrier. It has sidelined those people that Fanon clearly talks about are trying to undermine American boxing. And it has broken records. So Gervonta can go from that bottom of that pyramid to not being at the top. I'm not a naive fool. He won't be at the top of the pyramid, but he'll be amongst the top of the pyramid. That is an American success story if he plays his cards right. Specify that. The woman stuff, he's got to separate himself. That is the brilliance of this fight. Fernand's going to make a video about how Jake Nostradamus predicted all of this in February when Canelo went away from the fight and Turkey overpaid him for these fights that nobody's talking about. And this Jake and Tank fight will make Tank, as Fernand said in the earlier video, 200 Ferraris. And that's the bottom line, because Kamal Oz said so. One word, 4 letters, Fernand. Yeet out.
All right, brother, get back, man. Yeah, man, that was fun. Hey, organized religion has the opiate that manipulates and controls the world's population with falsehood and misinterpretive truth. Yeah, bro. Yeah, following people is not a good thing, bro. Following people in any religion that has you following people, I think is a fucked up religion. I don't have a religion that needs me to I don't have a religion where I need to talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to talk to somebody in your religion, man, I think something's wrong with your religion. You should be able to deal right with God, and that should be the whole thing. Like, that's for me. My relationship is with God, and that is it. I ain't asking nobody permission about whether or not I can have a relationship with God directly. I don't need your intermediaries. I'm dealing straight with God. I love talk. I talk to God every day. And if he's with me, can't no man be against me. That's what I heard Muhammad Ali say that when I was a baby boy. Loved it, lived by it, and it's true, bro. You know, that's what I say. But if you, and no joke though, if you have to read the Bible, like personally, I believe, man, I got baptized, 45 years ago? It was 45 years ago this year. 45. I got baptized when I was 11 years old. Yeah, I got baptized when I was 11 years old. I've been believing in God as long as I've been alive. And I'm serious. I have no idea why people still need to continue to read the Bible. Like, I don't get it. What is still in that book? Like, if you've read it already, those books that you read, you should read and you should sit down. After that, you've already read it. So what else? There's no new stories coming out of that. The nature, on the other hand, changes all the time. You see stories and life lessons playing out all the time in real life that God is delivering for you to see every day. But you keep your head buried in a book your entire life, dog, and listening to what other people tell you to think about the same book you've been reading your whole life. Come on, man. Like, shit, can we move this thing? That's what I am. Like, that's how I believe. It's fun, to the extent that I'm a Christian, that's what I believe. Like, can we move this on, please? Can we push this a little forward now? Get this out of this book, okay? Anyway, man, much love to everybody in the chat. I went my 3 hours. Hey, can I get some applause? Because I went 3 hours today. That is my goal. I'm going to be going 3-hour live streams. I'm back to 3-hour live streams, bro. Kentrella Grew said, been baptized around the same age. Yeah, absolutely, man. Some people feel that way about their ancestors. Oh, yeah, hell yeah. Absolutely. There's nothing to prevent you from talking. Man, look, don't talk to me about talking to ancestors, dog. I believe in that shit fully, bro. Thank you, Jay. Say great combo, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Jameson. Yeah, that's an MH Blackwell conversation. We'll be having more of those, loosening the conversation up a little bit, man. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.